shivers whenever I'm thinking about you. Just wanna leave and live without you, be on my own again. I get the shivers whenever you go out of line, yeah. I feel it creeping down my spine, yeah. Wanna be alone again.
welcome to the Series 3 Open Qualifier number 2 of VCT Game Changers NA. My name is Zobi. I'm joined by the amazing Janice to bring you the unofficial cast for, I don't even know how many times we've been doing this, Janice, but we're kind of familiar faces at this point. How are you doing? Are you excited for our match today?
I'm so excited. I know we're about to jump into this. It's going to be a really great match to start things off between Refrag and ERM. These are technically former rosters. We have a pug team that's consisted of Reformed GC, and then ERM is just Vulcan Rising. So these are very familiar rosters. I'm excited for the game.
Found our new banners, and I don't know if we have time to really go into too many details. I would like to look at map picks and bans before we jump into the game, though, if possible. We're going to find out from production. Drum roll, please. Well, this is the longest.
There it is.
There it is. So we'll be going to. Oh, there it goes. Drum roll, please. There it is.
Abyss.
Haven. And if we make it all the way to map 3, bind. And now I think our casters, I'm going to steal their information because that's what we do on the desk. It makes sense because ERM's been banning Ascent outright and banning Haven as their second ban. So RF kind of targeted a weakness of theirs, right, Janice?
Oh yeah, but ERM freaking loves the Abyss. They've played 3 series. The first 2 series, they got to play that Abyss. You're going to be seeing Yoru. You're going to see your Astra. They love playing that map. And once we get over to bind, I'm hoping we get all the way there, but these are teams that like these maps. They got the map picks they want. They got bind as the last selection. That's going to be a brawl, but these first 2 maps, you got to win your map selection, hopefully take down your weakness.
Well, with that, we are going to, I believe, get ready to throw to our casters. We had a really quick pre-show for you guys because the action, it's explosive and they are already pumped and ready to play. So Ice, Fired, and Hail Monkey Man, why don't you come on in?
All right, everybody. Hello. Thank you, Zobi. Thank you, Janice. I'm Ice Fire-Eyed. I'm joined on my left side by Monkey over here. And we're going to have a good little matchup today between Refrag and ERM, just like they introduced a little bit for us. And as we sit here for a little bit and wait to get into the game, Monkey, what are you expecting to see coming out?
I mean, Abyss was something that I get to see a lot of teams go into when they want to reinvent. Maybe not reinvent, but also be able to have a little bit of that invention in the process. ERM, everyone really misses. They're looking like they're going to be kind of that creative mindset, that mad scientist sort of team that wants to be able to call upon the newest map, the newest sort of computations, and see if they can be able to make things difficult from what is more of a standard process out of Refrag. And, you know, the desk, they always steal everything that we got, but I feel like we're gonna be able to find out a lot of cool things going to this map. But Abyss it's a fun one because I'm still finding new ways to really navigate this one as a whole.
Absolutely, and it's interesting mentioning Abyss for ERM here. They like to play this double controller, double duelist setup, especially with that Astra coming out. So definitely interesting to see how they decide to play that. Astra is one of these that has been popping up on Abyss with her stars and able to take over, smoke out mid. And it's a different style of smokes play than what you traditionally see with an Omen on some of these other maps. It's a little bit quicker paced, a little bit more bursty. Whereas we were talking behind the scenes a little bit before we went live, is Omen's a little bit more slow. You have to be a little bit more deliberate with it. So I'm excited to see with this Yoru, with this Jet, and the Astra coming out, how they decide to play the map against Refrag.
I mean, when you get the Astra, I think everyone has seen it at this point, what you can plant, especially going over into B. B is very strong, especially just off of that main pillar in danger. So if you can be able to get that Astra, you make it a kind of a difficult, wonky situation to have to work with. We already got money that is going to be getting ERM with that Astra, and I think that's going to be on both sides as Marina is looking to lock it in. Now, the key magnifier here is that we got Wire and Celeste on that double duelist between the Jet that is very prominent on this map, as well as being able to work past what could be sometimes tough Cypher setups if you go into a Yoru. So Celeste is going to be really finding themselves into the backline more often, but otherwise you do have a Viper to complement some full court press and control of this map. And I mean, you're not really working off against a hard Sentinel to have to defuse here with a KO, so KO is really just going to be trying to take those smokes offline on this map.
I'm interested by what by what's been drafted here by Refrag. Going with the Omen and the Astra, so double smokes actually being brought out with the Jet, Sova, and KO. So fascinating to think about this, just because KO and Sova are, for a double initiator, you have the one duelist that is really going to be trying to take mid control. I am looking for the Jet, for Kazler, to pick up that op as early as possible, come online, and take mid control. Mid control in Abyss is actually an undervalued, I think, area of the map, because it opens up vent plays and allows you rotations where you don't have to go all the way through your spawn in order to make it to the other side, as a defender at least. When you're on attack, it's a little bit different, but definitely something to keep an eye on as we get into this matchup.
Yeah, and especially mid control is not immediate. You have kind of a high-low situation between mid-top and that catwalk. You can be able to kind of re-engage, and you never know if they're going to be hitting over into that library section. Either way, you know where we're hitting into. It's the first match of the day, top 16 here for NAGC. Let's see how these two teams are going to be rocking and rolling, starting things out.
Already, Wire getting an opening kill onto Riv. Wire, one of these entry fraggers for ERM that absolutely just starts to take off. You don't want to let them start running over the map, and Marina comboing very nicely to take them off, not allowing them to get any more kills, as they are going to back away and go for the A potential rotate through their spawn. A quick 1-in-1 trade to start us off, I think, is actually interesting. Having Wire be taken down, because that's really their big fragger, and I want to see how they play without that. You can see the Omen smoke coming out onto A main as well, as mid control is taken by ERM with that trade.
And this is actually one of the players that we failed to mention. May is actually going to be going back and forth on this squad, possibly as a sub. So they kind of came in moving into this rotation as, all right, how are we going to kind of change the entire dynamic of this squad and of this composition? So they look pretty strong there as their Viper, but as they do rotate from that B position, you use the talk screen in full support, because you get this double controller, and off of this Astra, you're still able to get control. They're going to get the short plan here, and they're going to be working from right below tower, but look how they have that one lurker that's going to go towards Vince. They're going to be able to crawl just around that upper position and maybe catch him by surprise.
And I liked the Astra smoke onto Vent when they executed, not knowing where the defense was. Smoking that off is one of the key places, because it's easy access for either team, depending on how you take mid control. And since they weren't for sure, they smoked it off to be safe, and now we're really getting into the middle of this. Millie picking up 2 right off the bat, and it's just going to be a 1-to-1. Now Millie's tapping the defuse here, lands the 2 shots with the Sheriff, gets a 4-kill round for them in the beginning of this matchup, and gets the defuse. Well played there.
That's money at the end. That's going to be cash in the bank, and that's going to be all here for Millie, who just holds their nerve and apparently holds a heck of a steady hand there on the Sheriff. So some big shots to be able to find that 4K at the very last of that first round. It looks like they were actually coming back to us, be it a tech pause or otherwise. We'll get some notifications to you guys going soon. So we got to see, obviously, controllers are very influential on this map here, Ice. Seeing how the Astra play can immediately kind of stop you at the door. Sometimes that is a big combination when it comes to big Sentinel util setup, but that doesn't exist here. You're not seeing a deadlock, you're not seeing a Cypher, you're not seeing immediate resistance of gadgets. You're seeing kind of timing play and how these smokes are going to be influential to really slow things down.
Yeah, and I want to point out how they did get into that tack just a little bit, break it down a little bit. They were able to get the smokes, and they just couldn't get that post plant set up. But as we wait for this technical pause to come through, we're going to send it back over to Zobi and Janice for them to do a quick breakdown of that first round.
I mean, we said that we got, the short end of the stick, and we were kind of sped up in our pre-show, so why not bring us back for a second, Janice, right? We didn't get to set the scenes, right? Kind of lay out how these teams got here, what the overall open qualifier looks like at the moment. So we wanted to give you guys some more context on the teams competing and how they've gotten this far. So first, Janice, let's take a look at that bracket and what stands out to you here about the top 16 teams that we have.
Well, obviously the fact that Shopify Rebellion's here in a second open qualifier is strange to see, but the fact that they're here, they're obviously favorites. But throughout this, I'm really excited. A lot of familiar names, including Givewing Man 2 nuclear devices over in the bottom of the bracket, coming in as like 6 seeds. Meso's Millionaires still kicking around, Teddy Tactics, Bumblebees, but the series we have with Refrag and everyone really misses. It's a really great series. Both of these, the 9 and 8 seeds, really close rosters all together. But beyond that, like, these are just all these players are so good in every way.
Yeah. And for me, what I really like is you see these teams that have been competing in the, I think it's called the Tanax series as well, actually coming and making the top 16, right? You have Tanax JC, you have Sad Frost, who have competed in that kind of practice game changers event and have gotten those reps in now to be successful once they got now in to the open qualifiers. In addition to that, though, some new rosters came back, like YFPX, right? They took a step out. Previously with the main event, that roster had a new home, or they were looking for a new home. And instead, YFPX, what did they do? They said, all right, we're going to open up trials. If you're a good player, DM me. That was Nima, the organizer. For
I saw
YFPX.
that, yeah.
So they built a new super team, basically of free agents, and we're going to see if they kind of mesh and have that chemistry that maybe the previous YPX rosters haven't clicked as well as this one has that potential to do.
Yeah, and you know, time given, you still got this qualifier, and you're already making playoffs is a huge start. But for you know, as the series goes on, these teams are gonna start meshing. But teams that already meshed it, ERM, everyone really misses these. As I was mentioned earlier, this is formerly the Vulcan Rising Game Changer squad. They have a couple extra swaps, including Money and who's gonna be in for this first map. But they have addition in the back if they need it. They got May, who's an excellent controller player if they want to run the double controller setup. On the other side, you got Refrag with the core of Reformed. You have Millie, Kazler, and Riv all coming back. Both the 2 additions with Marina and Rika. Rika last played for the first close qualifiers for Meso's Millionaires. Marina played for YFPX actually for the first 2 for Series 2 in the second and third open qualifier. So these 2 additions in this little pug roster, just seeing what they can get done while all of Reformed are just trying to figure themselves out. But this Refrag roster is definitely a great squad. ERM have the continuity. They have all 5 members plus a couple extra players coming into this with the only new addition, I believe. Who was the new addition? I forgot which one. But
For which?
For ERM.
Celeste, actually.
Celeste, that's what
they
I
were
was right.
previously on Sad Frost, I believe, actually, and then Australia's coming in hot, right, to upgrade that roster as well. So Celeste had to look for a new home, and I can fact check myself there really fast. I was correct. Haha! Look at me, I know my information.
It's almost like you're in the scene. You like live and breathe this scene. You're very good.
It is. What can I say? But yeah, we only got to see round 1, but I'm so happy we get to see Abyss, right? I feel like some teams have been kind of dodging it, and maybe they finally are feeling comfortable. One thing I've noticed when I was putting together rosters and seeing what these kind of roles were, like we had the defined roles for each player, is that when you get to Abyss, they're kind of all thrown out the window, right? Like that's when you really tap into, oh, you know, these Sentinel players, they might be on double smokes if you pull in like an Astra and another smokes player like Float, or you might see that double duelist with a Jet and a Yoru. Like, there's so many different options on this map in particular that teams have been tapping into that even if you know a team, you don't know what they're going to run on Abyss the first time.
ERM, especially, like, they played their first 2 series with May in for Money, and they were running a Yoru Viper Astra with a Sova and a Jet, and now they're throwing in Money, so now it's a completely different composition. So as you were saying, just a new map, and especially a map like Abyss, it's just so chaotic, and it forces teams to just play their best Valorant, not necessarily play the meta of the map, which I think is a really nice change in the game that is still adapting, still evolving, even if they have maps like Ascent and Bind that just kind of have the same compositions that you kind of see over and over and over again with maybe small additions, small meta shakeups. Abyss forces you to be creative, be adaptive, and I'm really excited what Reform is also going to be doing. Refrag, pardon me, because they just haven't played it much. They've only played it twice. I believe just twice, if that at all. So I'm like, what we're gonna see from them as the map goes on. Really hoping they can maybe potentially get an upset here on ERM. That's gonna be their key to the victory. If Refrag can take here on Abyss, then as we get on to Haven, they're gonna look really good.
Yeah, and speaking of kind of the bigger scope of these teams, and like you said, like Refrag is having to be an upset, right, in order for them to get through in your mind, Janice. Like for me, I was surprised that Refrag was as low as they were on that seeding totem pole, right? Reformed was like the cream of the crop, almost beating FlyQuest Red out to go to those grand finals to face off against Shopify Rebellion in Open Qualifier #1, and then now like that they've lost some of those players that might have retired, it's gotten a lot shakier.
Yeah, going from semifinals, losing to the eventual qualifier winner, it has to definitely be a punch in the gut for some of these players. I know Millie was just like, a bunch of these players were just feeling really down, but they're able to come back, hopefully with some new energy. New players bring a different vibe to the team, and hopefully this different firepower can definitely get them all the way up. They got to win this first series, and then they can start thinking about playing David and Goliath against what we presume to be the favorite in Shopify Rebellion. But you got to start here, start with this map of Abyss, and move on as far as you can.
And you say start with Abyss, but you said this was ERM's big map, right? Versus they targeted the weakness. So in your mind, do you think this is a must-win then for ERM? And then if not, then it could be a 2-0 out of left field from Refrag?
The thing is, we haven't really seen even like ERM play Haven. That's the one thing. Even as Vulcan Rising, they haven't really touched Haven much if that at all, for a very long time. So right now, Haven is an unknown commodity. It could be great for ERM in the side of, hey, we got some bag of tricks, then you don't know how we play. On the other side, it could just mean that they don't like to play it. It's typically a map they like to. I don't believe it's a map they ban all the time, but it's not exactly a favorite of them. They hate a bit. They just don't like Ascent. I don't think anyone likes Ascent. I know you don't. But really for me, it's just the Haven's the unknown commodity. So I would love to see Refrag if they can win this map and have the upper hand, in my opinion, on having the experience on Haven. That's gonna be a great way to win it. If this gets to bind, both of these teams are kind of mirrors in it. In the way they play. Both of them have like really like just the opposites in the fact that ERM have a really great attacking side. Refrag have a really great defensive side. It's that balance game. If it gets to a map 3, it's going to be a coin flip. So really, if you can win this first map, whoever wins this first map, I think is going to be really looking really good.
And you kind of pointed out, right, that if you're going up against an enemy when it comes to Haven, and I can't count the number of times I was watching champions over in Seoul, and it was like they picked into maps that teams hadn't played and they got stomped, right? Like you said, they conceal their truth on that map, or it even surprises the team themselves, right? They don't expect themselves to do well because they haven't played on that map, but then they get there and, you know, the IGL calling just clicks, the synergy clicks, and it can really come down to maybe some anchor players, some really solid solo plays on that map, because it is a map that's been here, you know, it's the one right after Ascent that's been around for kind of that longest period in your mind that you associate with Valorant, in my mind.
And another thing with these two teams is the fact that because these are, you know, adapting and shaping rosters, roles have changed all over the place. Because right now, if I'm correct, Refrag, Kazler has switched from like a flex role to everything as their main entry. It is kind of insane to see that adaptation in the one series that Refrag's played, 10 and 12 first kills, first deaths against Tenax. So Refrag, you know, it's a different environment. You still have Millie, that's a really great race player, but was playing KJ, playing Killjoy over on Icebox for their first series. So a lot of different moving parts for Refrag with those two new players. But for ERM and for Refrag especially, what they got to be doing is they got to win those those head-to-heads, because on the other end they have Wire, who is kind of very good at the game. Very good at the game. Here's their first kill. First kill, first deaths from their 3 matches.
All right.
Just the first 3 series. 11 and 4, 13 and 4,
13 and 4,
20 and 9.
20 and 9.
So
I'm getting I see some nice margins there.
I'm just saying, like, just like they're setting Wire up for so much success, regardless of who's playing in, whether it's money or whether it's May or if it's from their old rosters. Wire is going to be the tip of the spear, and you have to be able to win those duels out for Refrag if you want to play it. I love the system they got going on, where Millie, who may not feel as comfortable on the Jet, on the main entry, but loves to be able to play that supplemental role with the utility of the race, or with the KJ now option, also has a freaking Yoru in the back pocket if we get to bind, apparently. It's that supportive role that Millie plays. I think it's going to be a really great addition for Refrag. These new players help. I think one of the best duelists in the Game Changer scenes really push out and get the most out of them.
Well, it's this kind of duel then between Wire, their kind of tried and true duelist, new duelist of Kazler, who's kind of gone from that prime impact player to now a secondary kind of duelist when Millie isn't on that role. So I'm excited to see that play out, particularly on a map like Abyss. But our tech pause is a little bit more lengthy than we thought it was. You might have to see the score at the top, which makes our caster jumps very difficult. So we're going to give Radiant some time to get that sorted out on the live feed, and when we come back, we'll jump back into hopefully round 2 of Refrag versus ERM. Until then, stick around.
Broken by the world, 'cause every day at school they'd push and shove her. Oh, but she had a plan. One day she would get her revenge, and those cheerleaders and jogs would be 6 feet under. But behind those angel eyes lies a devilish surprise. The prom queen is killed for her crown. Every boy and girl she seeks never comes back in one piece, so be careful when she tries to ask you out. She's a motherfucking killer queen, a psychopath that's 17, a beauty in a blood-stained dress. She'll fill your heart with kerosene, she'll light you up till you can't breathe. You break her heart, you just might lose your head. She's dancing by herself, she's crowned the queen of hell. Tears will sink into her skin. She's gonna get revenge, you're all gonna know her name. She's the one and only killer queen. Killer queen, she sold her soul at 17, a beautiful and broken mess. She'll fill your heart with kerosene and light you up till you can't breathe. If you break her heart, you just might meet your end.
I saw you dancing in a crowded room. You look so happy when I'm not with you. But then you saw me, caught you by surprise. A single teardrop falling from your eye. I don't know why I ran away. I make you cry when I run away. I make you cry when I run away. Take me back, 'cause I wanna stay. Save your tears for another, save your tears for another day. Save your tears for another day. I made you think that I would always stay. I said some things that I should never say. I broke your heart like someone did to mine. Now you won't love me for a second time. I don't know why I ran away. I make you cry when I run away. Take me back, 'cause I wanna stay. Save your tears for another. I realize that I'm much too late, and you deserve someone better. Save your tears for another day. Save your
All right, everybody, hello and welcome back. It's us, it's Ice Fire-Eyed, it's Hail Monkey Man, and we are here to reintroduce a little bit. There was a little bit of an observer issue in that first round that they had to get sorted. That's why there's been this extended break. So we're just about to get back into game. We saw what we think is going to be standing as round one. Monkey, do you want to break down a little bit about what we saw? Just trying to get the viewers back into the action a little bit.
Okay, I'm going to give you the smash and grab bank robbery style of this one. All right, they tried to go B. They met nebulas. They crashed into the stars just like they did in Interstellar. They fell deep into the library, especially when they took a fight in mid, and they tried to hit A, and everything looks like it was going hunky-dory, but suddenly the phantom killer known as Millie came onto the scene with a 4K deagle and destroyed everyone that was left over. That's pretty much it, right? I think that was...
Yeah, I mean, you could almost call Millie the avatar, the master of all four kills there, just because the library collapsed, they took Appa, and then they had to go get Appa back, and you know how that ends out if anybody grew up around that time frame. We're dating ourselves a little bit here. But no, it was a really good round coming out from the defense to clutch something that was looking a little bit on the teetering side of going to the attackers. They did not have mid control on that rotate, got picked off in a 1v1 duel. And when they got that rotate through, it was, it really went down to Millie picking up. Okay, and we are back into game. The rounds does stand. And now it's 10 seconds left. Okay, so we're all back.
All right. Cool. So we're getting right back into it. Obviously, this is going to be Refrag that is going to be on the advantage. It's going to be ERM sitting and chilling. Now, they do go over into a set of deagles, so they're going to be going for at least some big potential to flip this one around. Could actually, because of that firepower here, Ice, see them, if they can get that first big pick potential, turn this into a semi-pseudo thrifty. But with that, the man advantage that they get into this, I want to see how maybe they twist and turn from mid. This first shot, well, it tells a lot. Outlaw lays Celeste down.
Outlaw, one of the best anti-eco weapons you can buy, just because, one, you get 2 shots, and you only have to hit the body, and it will take them down without any armor. So it's a huge pickup in these anti-eco rounds, and already you can see the Opper, but they get taken down by Wire on the flank. Kazler did not have that flank covered and got taken down. It's going to be up to Millie here to delay them as long as possible as the Viper Wall comes out, blocks the site, and forces the rotate out of Millie to go around through the backside of the site.
You're going to be going and committing to this plant, and that, honestly, that run up from underneath that high tower position is so pivotal. And then finding another big pick is May. Now remember, they kind of come in as a non-standard player, but it's going to be Riv that comes right back in, and they make good use of it. They're going to be able to get this defuse off. May is not there to be able to support. At most, they could run up and maybe get an exit frag, and instead, they're just going to be able to give up their life, make sure that they get the creds that come with it. Their body ends up giving some extra over to Rika. So that's the first 2 for Refrag, but let's talk a little bit about how they did get a couple picks. If there wasn't that separation from mid, there may have been a chance to be able to hold out on that plant.
Yeah, they didn't quite play through mid appropriately. They didn't have good mid control, and that duel there with May actually went in their favor with that Sheriff. And the economy damage that they dealt that round is really massive. Just for the statement of now they're coming in with a full buy versus Spectre, some Sheriffs. Just really rough. But Kazler, that Sheriff was a 1-tap to the head and down. That is what you want to see out of your duelist / opper. To already be on point like that is really good things for your team.
That felt kind of personal too, because Wire was actually the one that snuck in underneath that heaven position and took out Kazler in the first place. A bit of extra vengeance in both directions as Riv will be hanging out to maybe use, that quick pulse grenade just to at least delay them, and that's going to be from beyond the nebula, so they know that someone was at least sighted nearby. And there may be some body-on-body bump. They're not expecting them immediately to come through, and they dodge the well, so this should be full control for B. They got to watch out, though, as Rico wants to try and get back on.
Yeah, you can see the rotate through both spawns. The Jet, they're going to try to regroup before getting in. I like the regroup before the push in. a lot of teams, what happens is they don't group up and they don't execute a plan together, and it falls apart because of that. Kazler, with the upgraded weapon that they picked up, they weren't able to make anything happen as May found their head instead, but the backstab of Celeste finds one, does not quite find the second onto Rika. Rika picks up now the Bulldog as well, does the reload there, trying to find this spike. It's up on the ledge, but with everything coming out, there's just not going to be a lot of time left. They're waiting for the well to expire, for the shock dart as well. Their dueling is here. It's ticking down. They do not get it as Money finds that last shot, takes Rika down, and secures the bonus round for everyone really misses.
I mean, you're seeing yourself just in a pit of misery with the amount of util you have to go against that kind of plant, and that's going to be consistent because that's going to be available on both sides with this Astra play set up off of that well. But a good first round to finally be acquired. ERM does give up a lot. You're going to see Celeste. They're going to be talking about what they want to bring up in terms of weaponry. It looks like they are going to be sharing some creds here. Ice, so everyone's going to be full rifles. Operator is online. Whereas Cavs are going to be sitting, they are shifting from their A position they've been at. We're going to be at B. That's where their spike currently is kind of lending itself towards. So there's going to be some nice navigation in this high-low situation. They could really stomp them at the door here.
And I like the setup that they have with the KO and the Jet. The first shot missing the Owl drone, so you do know that the op is here, and it's going to be difficult to play around. The opposing Jet throwing out their smoke, just making sure they can actually get out of that area safely, because if they rotate into an operator shot, you're not going to be living through there. And you can see them starting to run out, get that clone as well. They just don't have a lot of time. They're going to take full mid control. The smoke on the back side of it is going to slow them down a little bit on this rotate, but you can tell they're looking for a B execute, but Kazler off camera picks up one, but it's going to be traded back by Wire in the backside. There's only two. They're going to have to get this rotate. It is falling apart right now on this execute though.
They're going to navigate that spike up rope and all the way around into that A side spawn lobby, and you do have the talk screen that's set up for it. But look at where so much of the separation is happening. You have your two that are separate from the spike, which is all the way at main, and now they're going to find this connection. Rika sees Money kind of lingering around, and this is really showcasing how broad and wide and kind of traversing and through a maze that Abyss really is, because they've had to really find everyone around all these corners, and G is going to be planting for backside where they're eventually going to re-link up with their teammate.
And I like this delayed plant towards A. It drew everybody on the side of Refrag over towards B, and it's going to make it difficult for this retake. Rika has to clear these corners. It's not going to be easy. They get taken down by May for their third of the round, looking for their fourth, having to dip away as there was just not enough bullets in that gun for them to take the duel with Millie. Throwing out the smoke, trying to deny vision as they make a play, but nope, they're just gonna go for the save. Smart options here. It's early on. You can give up this round. It's more important to try to save for that economy. Maybe try to go find that op that was dropped so you don't have to expend as much money in this next round.
Yeah, that very may well be what's going to happen too. You see them hiding on the other side of the tree, and then they find the big rifle, and that's going to be huge because this was actually 2 in a row now for ERM, and this either is going to be a force-up buy on the defense, or they're just simply going to be saving, and then you have at least that one mega power weapon that's handed immediately as a crutch back over to Kazler. And I like how they identified that Kazler was in that high position, even off the Owl drone, didn't initially give up to running into that pressure, but like you had mentioned, they walked it up into top mid, and that's really what started to really put Kazler in an uncomfortable position. They took away the op as a major threat and then simply navigated away through the rest of the map.
And looking at how ERM plays, they ramp up into the games more, and you can already see Money picking up a big one onto Riv. The more rounds you get into the match, they do better and better with. So it's something that we're gonna have to keep an eye on, especially with Money popping off in the way that they're playing. It's gonna be a good one for everybody as Wire picks up 2.
Oh, that sprint over. This is why you pick Jet onto this map. There is so much productivity that you can get from outside, and you're looking for a flawless to finish this one off. Marina, the only one left. to try and take any of this fight, and they're just gonna put out a Nebula. Oh, they at least get a hot shot, so May will drop, may be able to go find themselves a rifle, but not before Celeste catches them onto the rope. So one less of a flawless is a pretty darn good round. That's 3 in a row here for ERM and Ice. So this team bounced back really well, and I feel like one thing that wasn't highlighted too massively, this is definitely ERM's map. They want to play into Abyss. They want to find this dub, and I feel like there's a lot of pressure for them to definitely get this one. Otherwise, Refrag could really kind of flip this entire series in a big way immediately from the first map.
And we highlighted Wire on this broadcast as one of these big players that can go for these high frag plays. We can see Kazler throwing out the Blade Storm, going to be trying to make a play through mid. I like this aggressive look, but it's gonna be, they have to shut down Wire, and now they also have to shut down May. Both of these players are big, but already May once again have come up massive, taking down Kazler with that Blade Storm, not getting any use out of it.
Right behind the line, Millie goes onto the bridge. They're able to find 2, looking for a 3rd. Gio's able to get them first. And now you still have them planting just beyond the Cosmic Divide. So Rika knows that there's just a little bit too much star, purple, and smoke to have to navigate just yet. They're going to let all of these barriers drop. You do have the Hunter's Fury on both sides. Another Cosmic Divide, and that's going to get actioned up. That should be able to secure this round. That Snakebite's not going to do much. May has a lot of work to do, and the defuse is going through. They have to step beyond the veil, even with some extra damage onto him. Rika secures it, especially off the defuse.
And it was a good stick of the defuse. I like that they knew what they needed to do. They stuck it. They didn't worry about it because they knew they had the cover from their teammates. And that's really good team play coming out of Refrag there, trusting in what your job is in those moments. The protocols coming out and showing up big there and just edging that round out just ahead of what ERM brought. And once again, Kazler is on this op, and I'm a little bit worried that the Duelist is 3 and 6, pulling out this op that they just haven't had great effect on in mid control and around B. So they've swapped back over to A trying to find something, but it's not having the necessary effect that you normally want out of your op, and we're gonna have to keep an eye if they can kind of turn this around.
They were looking for that first kind of corner pick, which has been at least acquired a few times off of that initial position from A. Rika does fall immediately, so there's not a Hunter's Fury to have to walk about and worry about. You do at least have the null command if a Refrag retake is going to be necessary, but A, off the talk screen should be at least the primary function. And you see them kind of lingering all the way into that backside. Op never gets used, so that's going to hang out in tower, and this is a free plant.
And that's what I was worried about. You're investing. This is now the 3rd round that they've had to buy. Well, 2nd round that they've had to buy. They had to go save it on another round. And for what happens whenever you're losing this much of your economy this fast, it's not a good look, as Wire once again wins out on a duel through the high-low of mid. Very well done there. And they've only dropped 1. It's a 4v2 on this retake, and it's not going to go well for the side of Refrag here.
Ooh, I love that. Immediately Cloudburst, walk through the door, break it open, put the pressure on. Wire knows at least where 2 are walking about, and that's going to be the last one. 2 of them. Battle Bop will drop. Money cashing in. And that's going to be 4 here for ERM, but we've not seen separation from these 2 yet. But let's check out just the general scoreboard. May looking so good. 12 and 5. They've got a Viper Pit. That's probably going to be actioned here soon. Blade Storm for later. You still have a Hunter's Fury to really super secure the round. On the other side of things, you got to see how much of this can be a kind of a collective to not die early on. Some of those massive picks to be able to get those plants from ERM has really humbled Refrag a time or 2.
It has, and it feels like ERM, even though they've been humbled a few times, Refrag hasn't really been able to capitalize and chain enough rounds together to make that big of a difference, and the economy is really starting to suffer for them. You can see they're all stacking up in mid, and it's not working out for them as May has already picked up 2 kills in this starting area. 3 looking for their 4th right now, doesn't quite get it as they get taken down by Marina. But that is a huge, huge blow to Refrag to start this round off.
And that pile of weapons is just too far away. They're hoping to be able to just go around that pillar and maybe come back to it. Celeste and the gang, they're actually just surrounding this entire folk stand of players. Refrag, they've got all of Marina left. That's a try for a Sidewinder blind. Not going to happen as Celeste will drop. And so they can finally at least pick up one of these rifles. They're picking up every manner of sheriff. I think they're actually using them as bait. Do they expect this off-angle corner? Nope. They're going to plant the seed of doubt, and that'll be a 5th for ERM.
And ERM just right now feel like they have a better read on the map. This is their map pick. They're comfortable on it. This is one that they've played several times, that they're dominant on coming in. So this isn't overall surprising coming out from them, but for Refrag, this is a squad that is very good, that knows what they need to do. It's just that they're getting out-rotated in these mid-game skirmishes, and they can't come back from it. They're getting caught out in mid or in the shallow parts of the site early on, that they tend to then just implode after that, and they start not just getting 1 over, but 2 and 3 over.
And some of these have honestly been highlighted into the Wire versus Kazler kind of setup. Kazler holding this corner and just doesn't want to let anyone through for free. That paranoia. Oh, they got him on the wallbang headshot. Celeste, see you later. No gate crash to run away with, and 2. So Wire, can they match the same sort of energy, especially as Rika is expecting some of this up mid pressure? They win that fight, and this is looking much better for Refrag.
This is what we want to see out of Refrag, to stop these rotations coming out and try and make plays on it. And there's the crossfire setup from Riv and Millie that sets it all down to 1, and it's gonna be set down. Marina finds money, get that team ace through, and that was a much better round coming out from that. They didn't over-aggress, they found the rotations that they needed. And the over-aggression from ERM through mid and A just was a little bit interesting.
Yeah, I feel like, you know, we talk a lot, especially for a ton of different maps, but especially for Abyss, you get that top mid pressure, and that allows really for you to dictate the freeway that you want to take either towards A or B, or at least have a safety net that no one can rotate for free from either one if they're already on site. Well, they navigated towards that top and to B link, and then they were surrounded. As soon as you get collapsed on, you better be ready just to be able to separate your eyes in all different directions. Kazler is going to separate themselves, and that's going to be a Hunter's Fury. They're going to be trying to at least put some pressure down this lane. They see 1 scan, and they do get a kill. They take out their counter Sova.
And that's a big pickup in Gia, taking out that counter Sova 1. That takes Hunter Fury off. It takes a lot of vision off as well, as Millie sees the head of Wire through the gap in the smoke, but it's not quite enough to actually land the shot, and they're just going to be able to back away, bouncing down. Kazler takes up this off angle, trying to see if they can't catch anybody out as they enter. And I like this setup that they have. And look at the mid control coming out from ERM as they rotate over towards B. They still have a long way to go, but this is a good start for this rotate. They've taken a lot of control. And for Rika and the rest of Refrag, this is a lot of ground that they're going to have to cover without any knowledge.
Rika's expecting that they're still around that pillar. May be able to catch them off guard. Yes, they do. That is great timing. They saw that little bit of a peek off the Blade Storm. Wire throws 1. Millie's off target, and that's gonna be coming in from tower. Finding a couple. Too powerful as Kazler. They're holding down the fort. They're able to find a 3rd. Jet diff in real time. 2v1. Can Refrag climb this up to even Stevens 5 apiece? They're separated from the spike. I feel like it's just inevitability. May looking for some finishing fights here for round 10. They don't even know they're right underneath them. Can they take down 1 BattleBot? No. Riv will make it even.
And heroics coming out of Kazler, putting up the numbers that they needed to pull that round off. Insane work from them. Picking up the 1-2, and you could tell they just barely saw them through the smoke as they were flicking away to cover the other area. They saw the head, they flicked back, and was able to pick up 1-2. And then the 3rd coming in really late through that area meant that it was another easy pickup because they were trying to recover that spike. And I'm kind of disappointed that they didn't take that B rotate because they had full control over it, instead opting for the A that was just too well defended.
Yoru really kind of shining here as some great intel. They're actually seeing some counterplays. They push up with that Hunter's Fury that we haven't seen before. Kazler with another. They're just a demon. The killable lord of A site. And now they're gonna have to walk it away. They've been able to make this at least a 3-3 stint. May's very hurt, and you think they may invest actually into a Viper's Pit here if they do rush it up into B. I think they've got the numbers. They don't know that as of yet. They're gonna throw Geo with that recon dart and see if they can just kind of go for this quick plant.
And this is one that they're gonna have to do fast because they need to get a good post plant set up for B. The Kazler is a huge player right now that is feeling themselves, and you can tell they're feeling themselves by how that last fight happened. Marina gets taken down by Money, so it's gonna be a 3v2, and with the Viper's Pit out, it's gonna be up to Kazler to make the big play happen. They're checking the outside right now, getting ready to drop down into the site as soon as Money pops their head out, potentially bring out the blades from, looking for one, finds one onto May, and it's gonna be down to 1. It's up to Kazler in a 1v1 here. Spike getting tapped as they're gonna jump around. I like this look, but is it gonna be enough? No, it's not, as Money finds the head of Kazler, takes them down.
You pop the blades fast enough for Gordon Ramsay to nod in approval. You hit the right click, you throw every single one of them into the skull of the Viper. And May hits the deck, so does the pit. And then you simply go to work, but holding their nerve and their ground was Money. And also, let's kind of highlight this into it. This has been a highlight run. May at 18-9. The rest, when it comes to Refrag, has been very balanced. We're gonna see another op in the hands of Kazler, and the way they're cooking right now, this one could be fire.
Yeah, I'm now that they're back into the form that we expect of them, I think this is gonna be a good look. The shorty coming out though, I like this setup here from them, as they're gonna re-smoke this area as well, waiting for Wire to step up because they're expecting this to come out. As they're gonna get spotted out, tries to drop, but no, the teleport doesn't come through, and Millie gets taken down. Wire picking up the first kill to start things off.
They're gonna get scanned out. They know that the op has been repositioned to a lower side, so now do they worry about much of it? They throw out the Cosmic Divide, and now they have to throw it straight into the stars, so they were fairly protected unless they're expecting any quick dashes. But I believe that they already used that Tailwind, so now Wire's just gonna hard hold this Riv. No chance, and now it's starting to become a numbers game. Kazler, they're gonna trade out weapons, expecting someone to try and just take them on, going for a duel up in this heaven position. ERM, off angle, they don't get him. Kazler's been given too much information, and now they're looking for an ace, but it's now down to an Astra v Astra.
Time is ticking down. Money playing around these areas where there's a lot of cover for them to use in this B site. It's gonna be, oh, they're not checking up above though. They check it too late. The head gets taken down. Marina on the spike, gonna get the defuse, and what a beautiful round coming out. A 4-kill round out of Kazler that turned it around. Like, if Kazler doesn't come up there with those, it's definitely over.
If you are Wire, you're kicking yourself. You were in a great off angle, especially lower position, where the high ground just, you know, by virtue of Jedi or Agent, has the advantage. And then you just see it kind of turn sideways, because the hardest target in the world, Ice, I swear on this, hardest target in the world to hit is a person that doesn't know you're there. They just walk weird, they walk funny, they don't go where you expect, and then as soon as Kazler turns around, they're like, oh, you're shooting at me? And then boom, then there it goes. So great setup. That 4K really spun that around, and we go 6-6 through this first half.
I think that shows just how close these teams are. When we were in break, we were talking a little bit about, you know, are we going to see this third map? And it's one that is very highly potential. I thought ERM would take a little bit more of an attacking side win on Abyss, but it's just not happening. Refrag has come back from the little bit of a slide that they had, and now on the attack, they're gonna get a quick hit into B, plant that spike, and set up their post plant for Pistol to start things off. I like this look, and already picking up the opening frag onto Celeste, and then Kazler, gets taken down by May. That's not gonna be a good one for them, as Kazler's been their top fragger.
pretty massive, but they can be able to hold their own. Wire finds a good pick onto Riv, and then Millie just holds their ground. Remember, they started this entire map with a great 4K, and off of this Nebula position, they're having to hit that right click. The well goes out, and there's just enough time into this 2v2, but Mei is cooking. Oh, but they run out of oil, and yet they're able to add some spice to the top of the platter. ERM, they find this first one. Great defuse.
How many 4K rounds have we gotten between Kazler and Mei? It's been insane. 23 and 10 on Mei to start things off on the Viper is an amazing scoreline compared to Kazler at 15 and 11. You mentioned it earlier a little bit about Refrag being a little bit more evened out compared to ERM, who has really been the Mei show, followed up with a significant gap to Wire. I want to see Riv step up a little bit for Refrag. Yes, they're the bottom, but as KO, I need to see more of their knives out and stopping what ERM are trying to do, because that's really how you're going to get your successes.
Oh. And maybe we're going to see something of that here, but Kazler, even with Frenzy Gang, is just not going to pan out the right way for him. Celeste had been one of the few that dropped early into that previous round and say they want to be impactful if they can. That's going to be money that's turning into more, and it's just a cavalcade of non-stop bullets, and that's just going to be a spree as we get the first two going over to ERM. So that one, it felt like a hard sprint. It always does whenever you see yourself kind of into a thrifty situation, but that is, I think, our first flawless walking into this matchup here, Ice.
I believe it is, and considering what we're seeing, it's good for ERM. They're playing well. They have a 67% round win rate on the defense with a 77% on attack. So 77% was not what we saw, of course, in their attacking half, going 50-50 with Refrag. But starting off with the 2 here, we're going to get a bonus now coming into the bonus round. They still have a very healthy buy. They have the 2 guns. It's going to be a little bit harder with the 2 marshals for them to make use of, but Mei comes up and takes Riv's head clean off, leaving only the sparking wires of their neck remaining, as that was a huge shot. And that just opened up an aggressive attack onto A now.
Oh, Celeste, burning bright, looking to get a weapon upgrade. Grab the champion skin, wear the crown for at least a half second. Rika's gonna fall in a collection of bodies that they bring with them. Then eventually Millie will end their reign of tyranny. But Wire with great cleanup, and that is a completed bonus round. And would you believe it, with 4 still alive for ERM. You had noted that they have 67% win rate on this. In their group stages, when they took on Envy Sapphire GC, they went 10-2 on them on defense. I'm thinking they're pretty comfortable on a defensive stand here on Abyss.
And that's interesting because Abyss is still so new. I haven't seen a lot of like developed strategies come out. It's been a lot of the Astra with these types of smokes. The double smoke setup coming out from Refrag is a new one for me that I haven't seen yet, and it's a novelty item. It's just not working out for them as Wire finds Kazler to start things off with this op. It's the duel of the opposites, and right now, Mei and Wire have been coming up huge, but ooh, Wire gets taken down along with Gia, as Mei is just hiding out in the smoke right now, trying to reposition themselves, finds Millie, and it's going to be up to them right now to get in and... Wow.
Ooh, okay, so now you do have that dimensional drift. They're going to try and create a blind situation that can get right beyond this corner. Working from off of this high pillar position. Celeste, they have to just kind of walk into Marina, who's kind of given up on that operator. You really can't play that too close quarters. Off the Sheriff, and Celeste again. And they lost their footing in that first round on defense. Since then, they have put on their sprinting shoes, and it has been a marathon run in favor of ERM. 10-6. Now, we can give them some credit there, Ice. It was their save. They had some stingers for the most part. But this right here is going to be pivotal for Refrag especially, if they are going to find any kind of traction, especially for the remainder of this map. Otherwise, we could see this one being just finished off for ERM.
Yeah, and with how Wire stepped up there with that op, they found a huge pick onto Kazler, and then Millie had some good looks. It just wasn't enough, as Mei was almost immovable in that site from where they set themselves up, and that's what we want to see out of one of these contenders. I mean, just really well played there. And then the retake after the plant was really, really well done. Wire gets a little bit of information from their setup, but not enough to make a play. They do understand that there's not a play being made on B, and you can see the rotate over and the coverage that they're trying to make over on mid, and now they're rotating a little bit over to A. They have a good setup here. I like where Celeste is looking. They know that now the execute comes here, and it's all about just holding your own here.
Gonna be able to win that 1v1. They lose it from distance. G at least grabs a couple, and that's gonna be Wire even from beyond that shadowy veil up in tower. Is able to find a big pick, and so they reconvene together backside. They're gonna be planting for that backside position, and this is a great cross. They can actually hold every angle, and they're gonna shut down anything, but there's not really much except for a recon dart to kind of worry about giving up some intel. Wire finds big first pick potential, and then it's cleaned up by May. 11 coming up, firing on some bodies and letting them know. I think there was a lot of expectations, even with even C's walking into this, that Refrag was maybe going to be one of the bigger dogs, but the bite is coming so much more fiercely here out of ERM.
And with where Refrag is right now, they at least have a little bit of an economy to contest, but it's not looking good for them. You can see if they lose this round, they're going to be coming into the next round with a botched buy, forced up with. It's not going to be great for them. This is a must-win round. You do not want to be backed against the walls versus a team like ERM that is just playing like they're the main character right now. You can see that they're taking some very aggressive peeks. May finding Kazler once again. And this is just main character energy that they're playing with, especially with how Wire is set up. They get flashed, they're backing off their position a little bit, but look at this play. Wire now throwing out the blaze from finds the head of Rika, finds the last kill, as well as Wire is gonna drop here, trying to stay alive as long as possible for this round so they don't lose that, but huge plays coming out of Wire there.
You know, just when you think oopsie daisies were planted, nah, Wire is looking just fine. That was actually, by the way, a double op buy. Celeste had one on hand on side A, and they were going to just find immediately a chance to put Refrag in the bin, at least down one player. 28 and 12 is May. Wire, slightly quieter. They had some highlight plays when it came to the first half, have really come into their own, especially on defense. We're on map 1 point here in just round 19.
And I want to see a little bit slower coming out from Refrag. You can see the Blaze Storm from Kazler. They're looking to make a play here. Shock Dart from Gia doesn't find anything yet. Kazler gets into the back of the site and is looking. No one's actually popping out their head yet for them to use this Blade Storm on. So for ERM, they're looking for the retake here. Just waiting patiently for the right time. They know it's going to happen, but Money finds Kazler to start things off, and there goes your Blaze Storm, there goes your Duelist, and it's just falling apart 3v3 as it is all almost over. ERM has 2 versus only Rika remaining. Rika finds one onto May, finds the last shot. No, it is all over. Gia finds the last kill on Rika, and that is going to be map 1 going over to ERM.
Everyone really misses, but these players, they hit just fine. 13-6 here on Abyss. This is their map. They picked it for a reason. Good looks right now, Ice. It took us a while after a bit of a, a slow start, but that first round was not indicative of the penultimate winner, at least for this series. So 1-0 to start things off. Big turning points, I guess, for you for this, because it felt like at even trades when it was ERM on attack, but defense, they didn't drop anything.
No, it was a very oppressive defense coming out of ERM, and it was on the back of Wire. We can see why Wire is one of these players to watch out for on ERM, and I would say, can we rename them to Everyone Hits? Because they don't miss. They just don't miss, it feels like.
Yeah, they do not. And May, honestly, was looking nasty. But you know what? We have an entire desk, at least a couple folks, that are going to be able to tell us just how awesome that these players were. We're going to throw back over to Zobi and Janice. Let's see if they can enlighten us to even more cool things that happen on Abyss.
Well, Janice, you said it. Whoever won this map was likely going to find success in the rest of the series. Based on what you saw on Abyss, do you still hold true to that statement?
It looked close there for the first half. I was,
Six
I wanted
six.
to go into it like Refrag. You can get going the first like your defensive half look really good, and it's like a tied half. It's like, okay, it could go any which way. They were playing really strong, and then we got to the second half, and all of a sudden the you could see with the struggles that Refrag had with this new role swap with Castler in the entry position, different initiators coming in, and that's where the team that new players coming in that just felt a little bit off. But ERM, there's a reason why they've picked it 2 out of the 3 series they've played for the open qualifiers. They looked so good on the defensive half, and oppressive is such a great way to put it. They looked so oppressive no matter how they were playing on the pistol, moving with an operator, playing for retake, playing for mid space. They were looking so good all throughout on that. As we look towards later in the series, Refrag they have to bounce back against an ERM that has a Haven that we don't know what we're gonna see out of them yet.
Well, I'll combat that, right? Because we kind of set up, okay, whoever wins map one, likely will find success. And regardless, right, of the enemy that we don't know for ERM on Haven, I do feel like the difficulties that we saw out of the squad were in my mind, just a composition mismatch. Like, I did not like the composition that RF was running, given the history of the players and the roles that they're confident on. Kazler, don't get me wrong, Insane Fragger can play a duelist role, but a secondary duelist role, not the primary duelist. They are not your entry. They are the one that capitalizes off of the chaos, can refrag your teammates, etc. on that, initiator role they're used to playing, right? Versus, this map, they were that solo jet. Versus when we're going over to Haven, if they run the comp they ran against Tanax, it'll be Millie on the Reyna and Kazler on the jet. So that's gonna be a whole different kind of synergy there. Another thing to point out is that Riv also, right? We saw them try to get some lurks off on their attack half, right? Because that's the role they're confident in. But you can't have your initiator, your KO on those kind of lurk plays. You need them to get into the site. So if they're back over on that cipher, like we're hoping to see them on Haven, then again, it might be more their element, more their comfort. So RF, Refrag, if you're listening to me, I have a comp for you guys next time for Abyss if you move on in this, all right? Kazler, get over on the Gecko, please. Millie, I don't know why you're in a slump, not wanting to play Jet, but you are an insane Jet. I believe in you. Go back to the Jet. And then everybody else, I think, oh yeah, Riv, you can get off the KO. Go to Cypher. And I think everything else is fine. You don't need your double initiator. The Sova's fine. Rika is cracked on the Sova, all right? That's like their primary agent. Anyways, that's just me. That's my application to coach for Refrag, if you couldn't notice, Janice.
I think you know what, I love the application. I'm honored to be part of it. Just like hanging
Thank
out,
you.
just being the supportive friend. But I the idea that Refrag came into with the Abyss comp, Millie used to be a controller back in 2023. But again, a lot of this I just need the team just get your confidence back up, keep going, and hey, potentially hire my friend over here to potentially be your coach. On the other side, ERM looking really good. So we talked about like an interchanging roster with everything. So for the first time in a very long time, no Young Wonho, and instead we get both Money and May. And Money looks really good on that Astra play, which is a lot to live up to.
Bro, you're not. They didn't even just look good. They shut down two Kazler aces. Like we dubbed Kazler the texture of game changers after that performance on the Jet. Like we were crying. Like one was a clutch, one was still a pretty important round. Like my heart was in pain there for them.
But like it's seriously like a roster that is still figuring themselves out, like ERM, a little disappointing that first qualifier, but going into here in the second qualifier for Series 3, and all of a sudden just like, hey, let's just bring some more players in. Let's just keep rotating in and out, and they're looking really good. Abyss, a map that we were talking about in the pre-show, of that not everyone wants to play on it. It's still, you just got to play good Valorant rather than the meta Valorant, and they're really playing into their strengths in that composition, and you can really see why things are great.
Well, with that, obviously we've set the stakes so far. ERM obviously up 1-0. They won out their map pick, but now they're headed to that map they've kept in the dark, their secondary ban time and time again, which Refrag has picked into to now stage that reverse sweep to stay in Series 3 Open Qualifier number 2. So with that, we are going to get ready to throw to our casters, Ice and Hail Monkey Man, to break down Haven. So take it away.
Ice, I believe that you are muted. Are you there?
Yeah, my
Okay, cool. All right, you're
my
welcome back.
microphone
All right.
auto muted itself. No, thank you, Zobi and Janice, for breaking that down. And now we're moving into Haven, which is one that it's been around a while. Everybody knows how to play this. There's kind of a set meta involved. It's not like Abyss where it's a lot more freeform for these teams. As we get into Agent Select, what are we looking for, Monkey? Are we looking for some of the same or a little bit different?
Well, you know what? Whenever I think Haven, I think Swedish. I think the Great Mountains. I think ginger bearded people, and I think bowling ball. And I mean that in the form of pressure, because Haven itself it's separated on that 3-site equivalent, and then you get the giant man that is Breach with his 2 big arms. I'm about to go like Russian. That's not the right accent, and I'm not gonna do that ever again. But being able to get some of that, you already see Wire walking onto the Neon. We got to see a bit of their stats, especially when they came to that previous bit of play. If they walk behind Gia with this awesome Breach, then we're going to see just kind of a non-stop bowling ball that is going to be very tough to take down. On the other side of that, Refrag, Millie's posting up into that Reyna, which is very much do or die. And I don't mean that because like it's going to be completely, one-sided one way or the other, but it feels like that's a comfort zone. Reyna walking into your site has to be supported or else Eyeball gets shot and so does she.
And that is going to be something we're going to have to keep an eye on, with Millie being the main duelist of the roster and Kazler in the flex role on that Jet. I want to see how they play with that duality of those two. It's going to be up to really Riv and Rika to make big plays on the attack to support that duo of Millie and Kazler. As whenever we're looking at what they have, I want to see Rika using their arrows on this defense to really catch out what the side of ERM is trying to do. It will allow Kazler, it will allow Millie to take these aggressive positions that we know that they like to take when we saw them on Abyss. And sometimes they were working out, they just didn't always win out on those trades. Haven is one that is an almost must win on those trades, otherwise you're gonna get snowballed on.
Now this also is a main composition that they ran into their group stage, and they took it in a 13-9 win over, I believe that was Tanax. I may be saying the name wrong. No, I said it right. Either way, 20 bombs abound for Marina, Kazler, and Millie. So let's see if that same kind of performance walks into it. Now, because you have these set it and forget it style tripwires, you do collect a lot of extra intel around this map. And that's going to set a lot of doorways to at least be, all right, where in the world's a trap? But ERM, looks like they're kind of poking around. They are setting themselves up for a C push.
Yeah, it's interesting to see that C push coming out. It's one of the hardest to take on Pistol. The duel's coming out hot and heavy as it's 3v3, 3v2 Refrag on the 2 now as May picks up the last kill onto Marina, and they're going to get the plant off. The rotate coming back from Rika and Kazler. Rika throwing in that dart as Kazler jumps in, trying to find one, finds one in C long, does not find the second, does actually find the second as Rika drops. It's a 1v1 and they do get the kill. Almost, they are down to almost no health on that Cypher. It's going to be hard for them to win out on this, and they do not get it. The Kazler headshot comes through, gets 3 kills on the round, and gets the defuse.
Kazler, the way that they approached Money in this final duel, it looked like to me that they should have had at least the dink kill off of the ghost that they had in hand, and then it almost seemed for like just a tiny amount disrespectful. They just started going and collecting pistols, like, I don't like this one, nah, I don't like this one, all right, and then ended Money in the back of sight. So already we're seeing kind of how Haven is gonna be kind of navigated here, Ice. See where you can be able to find the least resistance and then kind of just mold and feel your way into it. That's why C ended up being the main push there in round 1.
Yeah, it's an interesting one that doesn't get picked up too often, but I do like that they pulled that off, and they almost had it. Just Kazler coming up big with that 3 kills allowed Refrag to take that round, and I think that's how it happened at the start of Abyss too. It was the Kazler hero show to start things off, but now with this A hit coming out, it's gonna be hard with only pistols going into Kazler and their Outlaw. Finds one, finds 2. Wire and Gia go down, and that's gonna be the spike dropping as well. But Celeste has something to say about it. Finds Rika coming out of the lower piece of A.
They're gonna be able to get a nice extra pickup. Millie, they were huge in the very first round of Abyss, and now on this Reyna, they're gonna have to really start getting feisty and hungry, especially onto this primary duelist. Mei was massive when it came into that previous map, and now they're giving themselves away. Everyone knows they're here out in mid. They got a sheriff to kind of make things work. Where do they navigate to? Obviously, they got to kind of patrol their way towards Spike. And that's going to be at least this kind of micro duel that's going to happen. More bullets, bigger, better weapon, but Mei can be able to find that hot shot. Oh, the timing by Millie.
And they're just looking to do economy damage from Mei. Yeah, you want to get to that spike, you want to get it planted, but you know that's not really going to happen. You can't take it to direct route. So they worked their way through, they got spotted out, and they finally went down. Millie picking up a 3 in that round even. And I like how Kazler and Millie played off of each other in that round. So Kazler went deep into a main to pressure Spike after they took the 2 down just to clear a long. And then Millie came up behind to cover the short angle where one of their teammates went down. And Kazler, when they peeked, they didn't quite get it. Millie picked up those 2 and really secured the round for them. Coming into this one, though, Neon going aggressive, finds Kazler. So that's going to be the big pick that they wanted. And that's going to open up A very wide for them to take advantage of.
They know that they've seen at least a few different times having a lot of the initial recon dart kind of check down into that A link from Banana. And the fact that they send Wire, they're like, you know what, Wire, this has been a tendency the last 2 rounds. Go out there, find a pick, see who it is. Kazler coming up as the big fish is a bonus because they were trying to be able to get an initiator off the board. Riv peeking just a little bit too close for their hat to be able to handle, so they're going to back up from Garage. But B seems to be the priority, but Marina's getting some Gia caught up as they do head towards mid again.
And with that kill, it stifles a lot of that default coming out from ERM because now they have to try to make a play somewhere else. The camera trying to get some information for this Cypher on how they want to hit A, but Mei finds 2 backstabs, big pickup there, and that is just going to be a rotate back over to the other side of the map because they know C is free and they know B is free, and they're just going to go all the way over to C, get themselves set up in an aggressive anti-rotate position that I really love, and here it is. Mei finds their 3rd, potentially even a 4th if they get the rotate on Millie as well, but Millie has been standing their own recently as well.
They have. We'll see if they'll be able to do it again, but Mei, the reason that Mei has actually come up, especially just close to a 30 bomb in that previous map, is because they do lurk in these kind of capacities. You're going to see if they can be able to win this duel outright. They're going to TP away. They're going to let Celeste take over the rest of the work. Millie is very hurt, and that Devour will be able to get them to about 60 health if they can, but looks like they're gonna have to get some fadeaway jumpers in the form of these kills. Okay, yeah, walk it forward with the Guardian, see if anyone just decides to throw hands around this 90 degree. Wire will get them instead as a bonus track. So on this bonus round, Refrag can't complete it. They only get 1 off the board. That means we're gonna have a very healthy gun game going to round 4.
And I'm excited now for these first full buy rounds coming out from these squads. And, I mean, we're expecting, Vandals, Phantoms, there's nothing crazy going on there that's, oh, we don't see an op, we don't see the Odin spam coming through just yet that sometimes comes out from teams. So I want to see a hard-pressed Banana hit or an aggressive B hit. I think those 2 are some really good plays that if you can execute them fast can set you up for success. But has there something to say? Already finding Wire kind of paying it back for last round.
They know some of those round-based tendencies and not just site-based tendencies. So Kazler does take one of the strongest players off the board here for everyone really misses. As this Spike kind of seeing itself at least from this default position, they want to walk it for Garage. That's where they at least put the dark cover, and Marina is going to be covering down onto it. And so now another one's going to be coming through. The Paranoia actually to delay and dismay. But they're just basically funneling them at this point. Kazler is on that backside box position, and now Riv has to be in control if they're going to flex out from this Garage. I feel like they're just going to have... This is not a very strong one unless they're going to be walking it over to C. They do at least get some recon dart. Oh, but they're not ready for this off-angle position. They find 2, but Riv catches them on the back end too.
And it's going to be a 3v2 retake here. They don't actually get the spike planted. Celeste pulls off of that. Actually looking for the kills instead. Has to back out of the area as the cage went down and they started to push through. Only 30 seconds left. It's not going to be easy as there goes Celeste through the boxes. It's all up to Gia and it's not going to happen as Millie picks up the final kill. Comboing with the sight of the Sova to help with that.
They really didn't know how dead as a doornail they were. It was like watching The Walking Dead later seasons. Sadly, guys, that was the worst seasons. Sorry, I didn't get to be there for the beginning. But C was off. They didn't know Kazler was hanging out onto that top box, and that they, even with the recon, had to really kind of fight deep into Marina. But otherwise, they had so much of those angles covered to be able to walk from that upper portion of garage and then just that link. So ERM, for the first time, at least in these last 2 maps, they're not going to be able to be evened up. They don't find 2 in a row. And that means that Refrag is, I think, in a healthier position. Most definitely. Haven's looking a lot more stable for him.
Yeah, but already taking some bad trades. But oh, the Blaze Storm of Kazler finds the head of May to start things off. And it kind of forces them over to B and A, because now you know that there's an aggressive look potentially on C site that you don't want to take. And now I want to see Refrag push into that more. I think they're giving up too much map space. After getting that frag onto the Omen, I want to see them hold that space. I don't want to see them back off so far, because you're just giving time and space over to ERM that they can utilize to full advantage if they so wish.
I agree and I disagree, but we're also going to be talking about that later. Oh man, Rika, I love this position. A shorty and that little cubby is the worst thing to have to navigate through. That's going to be the fall of a Cypher, and Gia at least makes it happen for him. So off that blind, 2v4, Refrag looking very healthy and capable. Celeste only left alive, now actually finding some heads, but Millie will end out what could have been a crazy hero moment. That's 4 for Refrag, and the reason I'm like, all right, I want them to steal space, but I don't want them to do it too heavily, is that's really what's been plaguing ERM. They can't find first pick pressure, and they can't even find counter trade pressure from those initial picks that ERM is picking up, and so don't give it up to them, and then that leaves ERM just confused.
I like that. Yeah, I can see that absolutely. But for Refrag, it feels like a lot of the time they're not looking for much. It's a lot of just standing back as Wire's looking, but not actually checking their corners. Millie finds the first kill. Once again, Wire is the first to fall. And that is a huge loss that you just can't be giving up. And Millie comes up big once again, this time onto May, but May found Marina, and Celeste is picking some up as well. It's 3v3 here with a duel in mid, but oh man.
One enemy remaining.
Oh, that's just good understanding. You got the cyber cage up, 3v1. Geo with a sheriff, and then this is what I call the cycle of suffering and suck, because you're just stuck having to deal with sheriffs and always going into these ecos. Gia has spike. That's a boon. The bad news is there's some better weapons on the other side. Millie's gonna find their third, and if I've ever seen true Valorant and Neon lifestyle, it's throwing in your overdrive, being the first one in, and then not checking the one corner, and that's where the person headshots you from.
Yeah, and it feels really bad whenever you lose that without any usage.
No.
As it feels like so far they've had Wire's number in this map, and that's what they need. They need to make sure May can't pop off. They need to make sure Wire doesn't pop off. Those are the 2 players from last map that, especially with May, went massive. For Kazler, though, they've already dropped 11, which is huge, and they need to continue that. I like the backup play that they have here, taking this garage area, huge play there. As, once again, no checking of the corners. Now, they did win out, luckily, against Rika, but that is a lucky time that they weren't up against a shorty or something.
This is going to be, for the first time, I think, a true plant here over at A. We've had some incursions and some skirmishes, and this is one of the strongest positions for Mini a Breach. They actually have the Rolling Thunder, and they're going to be able to use that. They've thrust them away with a giant wave of gravity. Gia protects their position here in Hell, and they're accepting everyone to join them. It's a 1v4, a lot of eco here for Refrag, but only one player, and Wire, for the first time in a while, gets to stay alive, and that finally gets ERM a second round on the board.
Yeah, I comes down to landing your shots there, and Wire got a little bit lucky, was able to dance around, not get their back shot out in that entry into A site. If they go down there, they lose a lot of the firepower that they need to hold that site in Wire. Now, they still have a lot that they can do, but losing your entry like that is really rough. So it's a good thing that they were able to stay alive, pick up those early kills, and secure that site for them. But now it's back to default, and they're just going heavy towards A. Once again, you can see that Neon going aggressive with those walls, trying to get in through that lower area. They do get spotted. Rika having to back away. Sees them coming from Banana as well.
There is so much extra util, and Wire is now collecting bodies like I do Pokemon cards. That's a third one, as that's actually going to be money that collects only their second kill of the entire game through the first 8 rounds. Another plant, and yet it's going to be Riv along with their Omen. So you have 2 intel ultimates between these two for Refrag, but it's really been a collective defragging of this entire hard drive, and all the memory space rests with the side of ERM. They're just not letting them through, and I'm thinking this is going to feel like a save. I mean, you've got your Omen way across the map. This is Riv walking away.
Yeah, Riv needs to walk away before they get mindful and try to cover their exit. As that's what's happening. You can see Wire's here. They're waiting. They know that someone's going to be there. Wire gets taken down by Riv, and they know they can't actually save. They're just making sure they don't get caught out by anything else before backing away. Smart play by Riv to not just run out without thinking, knowing that they probably have someone covering the exit. But 2 quick rounds going over to ERM with those A hits. And now you can see the stack over as the economy's a little bit on the shaky side for Refrag here after losing those 2. Now, economy-wise, ult economy-wise, they're doing well. Riv, Marina, and Rika all have their ults. Should be looking to dump them this round to secure the round in their favor, especially with how the past few rounds have been going. But we'll just have to wait and see as we get these barriers to drop.
Very demure, very mindful. Riv, maybe that's going to be the definition of what can bring them back into this game. You're going to see the Hunter's Fury get put down over into Sewer. Millie's going to find a good trade as Wire hits the deck after getting at least rid of 1. We go to 4-4 almost immediately, and it's the first 10 seconds that have really been indicative of true pressure and momentum for both these teams here on Haven. Now, Refrag, they had that 5-1 lead. ERM, this is now kind of a stub of the toe at the door. Riv, oh, they get counter-spied by Money.
Rika is coming through B site, trying to cover, see if there's anybody else there. But in this 4v3 retake, it's going to be up to Kazler to make the big plays along with Sova. May trying to catch anybody out on rotation through the front side of B, but not going to see anybody. As I like the pathway that Rika's taken, clearing out garage before pushing in, scanning out, and then trying to clear this little cubby. As now the counter Sova ult comes through and finds Kazler a big pickup, as there's the wraparound from May to close it all out. And it was really well played there by ERM with that rotation around through garage behind everybody.
Yeah, that was perfect lurk situations. May has done stellar so far in this series, and is exactly why they've brought them in to really be a massive impact player. The overdrive is online for Wire. That's going to be sitting in their pocket for a little bit to try maybe be a rushdown style of ultimate. Kazler may actually go for an orb if they want to go into their Blaze Storm. I see Sheriffs. I see just not the kind of eco that Refrag wants to have, and very much could lend itself towards being a tying 5-5 between these two. They went 6-6 in the first half on the first map of Abyss. It may very well do the same thing. We'll see how the next 3 go.
Absolutely, as we get a hit into A, everybody filing into the site, but Kazler with the Sheriff shot into dash has their Blaze Storm up and available, but ooh, that shotgun missing is going to be a big hit towards that, but Riz stepping up, finding another one. Kazler using the eye, getting so much vision, thrifty with a 3-kill round for Kazler.
Oh, nasty! A field of flowers! Oh my goodness! That was not what you were expecting if you're looking at Refrag. You're like, oh, okay, cool. You know what? They're kind of in the bin right now. Fadeaways by Kazler has him at 15 and 7. making things work out. I feel bad for the old, I think it was Rika that was chilling with that shorty, and they just couldn't find the mark. Well, guess what? Millie and Kazler are doing just fine, making sure to keep this team 2 leagues and 2 steps and 2 rounds above ERM, and that's going to make ERM a little bit questionable. We're going to go on overdrive. Let's see what Wire can bring.
I like that you mentioned Rika there, as Wire does push in, but for Rika, it's all about vision. Just making sure you can get as much information as possible for your duelist to make sure they can make the plays happen. As starting to shoot out is Wire, but they were concussed. They didn't actually, haven't found anybody yet, just spraying through that smoke, utilizing all of it, and it's not going to find even a single point of damage overall, but they did clear B, pushing through, trying to fully cover A site, but Kazler picks up the first kill onto May, and Rika falls on A site, but they know now that it's going to be the A hit as they rotate through their own spawn.
That's going to be coming straight through B. They're going to be going to it, and it's going to be a 1-player advantage. You don't have any ultimates that will be online for this one. G is still more than halfway, or maybe a little bit less than halfway towards that Rolling Thunder, but they're not going to give them time to set up. In fact, that's going to be Wire. That's going to go down immediately, though. You're going to have that aftershock that's going to keep them at bay. Celeste finding their third. They're going to be huge for this. 2 initiators. You can see if they can take down Millie as they want to walk it in from heaven. But from right beyond this box, right around the corner, they take it in 2-on-1, they isolate the fight, 1-on-1, Celeste comes up huge with an ace, and they keep the dream alive, maybe turn this into another 6-6 first half.
Round in the half.
Celeste playing that last part of the round beautifully to pick up that ace, just understanding that they're going to be probably dropping down. They then know that their teammate falls, and they just take those boxes, walking around them slowly, waiting for that peak to happen, knowing that they have to clear the site before they can actually start to defuse. Just really well done to play it patiently overall. And now they've brought themselves within 1 here for the half. The best we can see is a 7-5 half for Refrag, but for ERM, they're looking for this 6-6. As you can see, they're all stacked up towards A.
Oh, and they immediately positioned that operator into an aggressive corner. Wire, they're gonna try and lay him low. This one under threat. They can't get either. Kazler, they have the shorty, and so they get rid of Wire. Now they got a massive operator. They go for the weapon. They're able to trade it up. Millie in concert with them, but the harmony goes to Celeste instead as the conductor of death and damage is dealt. Riv in a 1v2. They actually have the Hunter's Fury. Do they expect him off this corner? They're able to get him down. Celeste gets a 3K, and we go even through the first.
Celeste going big these past 2 rounds, getting 8 kills in 2 rounds, showing up big. Last map it was May and Wire. This time it's Celeste and Wire, the initiator, doing the duelist duties, it feels like, coming up big, bringing it back to 6-6 with some heroic plays. Now it is up to ERM on this defense to separate themselves a little bit more and get themselves a 2-0. But for Refrag, it comes down to these next 7 rounds-ish. You want to go for that perfect 6 into 7 rounds on this half, of course, but it's going to be difficult. ERM has been showing up big. They have to make sure they execute properly into these sites. Haven is one that you have to get a good post plant or else it's going to be rough. It comes down to this right now.
So much hinges on what you can get between Millie and Kazler for this initial push. You had with the Neon and the Breach, especially off of with the Paranoia off your Omen, you have this kind of triple set as well, being able to get a lot of extra kind of triumvirate of pressure to these sites. A wonderful first frag there against Refrag out in mid just to see what they're doing from B. And it was almost so quiet because of the ghost, but ERM would love to be able to find first blood, especially first dubs here in round number 1. Celeste from off this angle. Looks like A is going to be where we're all going to congregate. May finds another big one.
May's come up huge, finding 2 before getting taken down by Marina. May has not been quiet at all. Like, they haven't been, like, to their levels of Abyss, but here, they've still been stepping up in these crucial moments. Now, Riv picks up Celeste, shuts them down, but Wire coming back into this. They're pushing in now, trying to clear out Hell. They do manage to get the 1, but they're gonna have to duel out to get 1 more, and Rika comes in clutch with the last 2 kills.
That is wild, considering that you just had Riv, or rather you had someone walking away. Rika, to highlight how important that was, went 1 in 10 in the first half. Didn't have a good time. found 2 in the back pocket to be able to steal that first round because ERM had a very strong retake, but they just didn't leave enough out to be able to finish that one off. So that one's gonna leave your head scratching there, Ice. It feels like that one is a woulda, coulda, shoulda been for them to be able to get first potential pressure, and instead it's gonna be Refrag that will.
Yeah, and I'm a little bit on the interested side to see what Rika does now. Being an initiator on defense, especially Sova on Haven, it's about understanding where the other team is and gathering as much information with your vision darts as possible. And then, of course, trying to stop, damage planters with the shock dart. So it's all about their positioning and what they decide to do, as this is a very shallow default coming out from Refrag, just wanting to take their time, not over aggress, as in past moments they've had issues. We saw last round from Refrag, they lost one early. Now pushing into Garage, they're stacking it up and they lose Kazler instantly to May before trading it right back by Riv.
Oh, Money playing with fire right behind that cyber cage, and they get him on the tightest little crease over here. Ends up working out, at least trade for trade. This has not been for free here, Ice. Refrag have kind of struggled. You talk about it being a kind of a shallow default, and they were maybe expecting kind of a full Bumble in the jungle. That is the weirdest Omen glitch I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, whoa.
That looked like Nigel Thornberry's nose on their cloak. That was wild looking. Celeste is going to at least put a shock dart out. They don't land it on target, but the plant comes through.
I thought it was like Phineas wearing a red hat or something. I'm sorry, that is so interesting to look at. That threw me off completely as Celeste gets taken down from up above. Millie with that bulldog coming in clutch. Rika using the shock dart to clear out the back site a little bit, just trying to slow everybody down as their time is ticking down. This crossfire setup, Marina finds one, but they go down 2. This is Rika coming in with 2 rounds, one with 2 kills, and the next with 3, stepping up big.
Now, to the credit, and to the credit, I guess, of ERM, this was a buy, but you set up that off angle, and so far, they have not been able to account for Rika, and they've been able to clutch up a couple of those, and I guess that we are keeping that cape. That is gonna be the cape for the rest of this entire game.
Zobi brings up a good point as to why Edna says no capes. This is why, everybody. 1, you get pulled in by airplanes. 2, this happens in your Valorant game, so no capes.
I mean, it's a cowl. It's not quite a cape. It's like cape plus or minus 1. I don't know. Either way, Refrag, they're on their bonus. Oh, and then they find even more. That's going to be a weapon upgrade in the favor of Kazler. And they've already done a lot of work there with their Sheriff, and everyone really misses, is now seeing themselves starting to stumble.
And starting off with these going down on defense, whenever you have especially one of your main looks that are trying to get you information, as Kazler and Wire start going at it, Kazler wins out, but it's just going back and forth. These trades are insane, as only one has dropped so far for Refrag, but losing out on so much vision, so much information is really rough on the defense, especially when you have to cover that much more room. But it's only up to now. May is not able to find his Rika Marina combo for the last 2.
Rika in like another career could be the just what do they call it, the bouncers for a club.
Yep.
Because they have not let anyone through that door, like none, and when they do walk in, blasted in the face, just nonstop. And this look, this timeout makes a lot of sense, because ERM finding their Abyss map, that was their map. They turned it in a big way. They got 7 rounds in a row when it turned the other side. This one was much more even when it came to I guess kind of that same trading that they had in the first half. But this is their time to get Refrag out of this competition, and one of these teams is probably going to be playing against Shopify Rebellion. But Refrag, I mean, they now have a chance to be able to really start running with a lot of potential.
They do. They're really feeling themselves right now, pushing in to these areas. They find that opening pick and immediately take all that space and don't let ERM breathe at all in these scenarios. So it's very good to see them coming off of that Abyss loss, where they got absolutely demolished on their attacking half to come into this attacking half and not miss a beat. They've come right back into it, been aggressive. Kazler has been showing up big with these opening picks and making sure that their team is set up for success. And with this C long hit, it's going to be interesting. It's only Wire and Breach here. The Neon and Breach having to defend against 5 is not going to be easy as Wire steps up into this, finds the head of Kazler before getting taken down.
You know, that's a good first pick, but now you got a Swede in the corner. They're going to throw out the Leer. They're going to make it very difficult for them, so Millie just cleans up Gia. And, you know, it was difficult until it wasn't for all of a single pick, but they kind of gave a lot of space up. So now you have to retake onto C. You're into what is presumably a thrifty situation, and Refrag, I think they know it. They also have a Hunter's Fury, Barika, the bouncer, ready to take on anyone invading the club.
And there they go once again, finding money as Millie gets 3 this round and kind of plays co-bouncer a little bit in the back of that site, not letting anybody get anywhere near that spike. Really well done on that post-plant setup that they took up so much space in that site. It really shut down everything on that retake that ERM was trying to do. And we're at 10-6, and we might have a flip of the scenario that we had in map 1 on Abyss, where Refrag is coming out swinging on the attack and not letting ERM get a single round.
Look at this attempted counter read too. An op was bought by Wire on the Neon, but they're going to be all the way onto A. Ain't no one there. It is a parade. It is the Sad Man Death Parade. Shout out MHA lovers as they go all the way deep onto Seaside. Kazler's able to get one. Gia will fall immediately. May on the counter swing just beyond the dark cover, but it's not going to be short-lived there as they fall just around the cyber cage. It will be 2v4. You have an operator in hand. That means Kazler basically becomes a non-factor. Celeste is going to see what damage they can do, but this one, just like you said, it feels like we're flipping the entire script around, throw it to Hollywood and see if they'll turn it into a secondary movie. But Wire now just looking for exit frags. ERM, I mean, they're basically getting a massive dose of their own medicine.
They are, and oh, they're actually trying to peek that on the side of Refrag, trying to take that off the map, looking for those kills, hunting Wire down, seeing if they can make anything happen. I like what they're trying to do. It's risky because you're potentially giving money over to Wire, but I think they're going to be fine potentially. Oh, that jump. They have the shorty. They try to make something happen. The shorty picks up one onto Riv. Wall's coming out, but it's not going to happen. Oh, come on.
Well, you got one. You got a couple.
You got one.
So, all right. A little bit of extra cash, especially when you buy up into the operator. Wire facing down their demons as well as all of Refrag that wants to go and play. And so here's exactly where we were one map ago, Ice. You buy up into this round, and you know for a fact that if it comes out sour, you're going to be facing the exact same kind of buy, and it could be 13-6 the other direction and a map 3 forthcoming.
And I do not think that ERM wants to go to bind. They have good bind stats. They do well, but it's not something that you want to do. You want to have a clean 2-0 to get through here as the Hunter's Fury comes out, but Celeste picks up the first kill onto Kazler. Millie also drops some money as they are getting absolutely routed in this C execute, and there is nothing that they're able to do. It is up to the last two. Rika trying to make something happen. They're getting forced out of the cubby. They drop one, but they're not going to be able to drop any more as Money picks them up. It's all up to Marina at this point. They don't have the spike. They're just looking to save for this next round.
Yeah, even with all of the extra successes that Refrag has been able to really kind of rack and stack, you know for a fact, all right, let's see if we can at least enforce some damage, because they know ERM bought up into this. There's been some great weapon upgrades, especially because the majority of what they had was Guardians. And I mean, let's talk about how they just literally stopped them in the funnel of death. They had what, one hop up on top of box, and other than that, I'm looking for the littlest pixel in that spot of window. Otherwise, ERM really kind of held back Refrag from doing much damage.
Okay.
Now Marina does get one. There's no 30 seconds to go in this round. We topped it off, but this is a chance.
Marina's really trying to bring this back, but as soon as they step out of that cage, they get cut down. May ready and waiting with that Vandal. They're going to also be able to pick up that op and save it for Wire, helping that out their economy, making sure that it doesn't drop too far down by buying another one. And Economy is still healthy enough for Refrag that they're able to buy into this round, but you don't want to be giving over chain rounds over to ERM. You want to set yourselves on to match point at least before you give over any others, trying to put ERM into the sense of if we mess up one round, that's it, and we're going to map 3. Puts a lot of pressure that you don't want to have if you're ERM, so not much to play for in terms of Refrag. They need to get this round and start to set themselves up, but ERM is playing to win.
I've seen these go crazy backwards before. Wire playing a very deep position. If they see one single pixel, it could be Jover. Ooh, they know that they're getting sighted out. That was a very risky position, but also one that was very well telegraphed. Well, maybe not telegraphed, but read by Refrag. Now, as they use that extra bit of speed to try and at least defend all sides of A, they're going to be calling for reinforcements. Kazler is going to see at least one big smoke, and that brings them down. Money finds a couple, so we're down to 3 apiece. Money's going to try and at least rotate here with Gia. Off of the corner from the cyber cage. Rika just enforcing down. It's a 1v1. They use the neural theft. Riv walking away, running away, trying to sprint from this phantom, and they know that they're complete other side of the map, but they're going to be aiming for C.
What did I just watch? That was chaos in turn. And I mean, just like bringing chaos into this realm and letting it go crazy. Was that how that fight happened? Some great Cypher cages coming out, trying to block vision and play around some faux barriers to work with, as now the spike has been planted in C. It's all up to May to make these rotates over, checking their corners, working their way through slowly. I like the methodical way they're going about this, knowing that for Riv, they're going to be hiding around one of these corners. Not much time left, though, as it's time for them to pick the teleport in. They saw the tracers. They're going to get it to half before trying to make this play. They find one. They force them back, and they find it. Are they going to get the defuse? That's going to be. It's going to be tight. It's going to be a clincher, and they get it. 2.92 seconds.
That's some built-up cash. Momentum is starting to snowball. Refrag, I want to see what this looks like. They're going to have just enough to be able to buy in concert for the most part. I think that Marina actually may be coming up a bit short. Depends on how they buy. It looks like maybe a light shield if they want to have that full rifle. Otherwise, on the other end of things, Wire, I feel like they're not going to be at all kind of too chuffed about having to have a Guardian. They've been able to land their shots, but they do lose out on that operator. So everyone really misses. They've got the Rolling Thunder. Blazestorm on the other side for Refrag if they really need it. They're going to be able to really kind of wind into this pressure. They also have the Hunter's Fury. Wire, they hit that eye so many times. At least they thought they did. And then they end up just as an open target.
Yeah, and unfortunate timings there means that for Refrag, they have the push in. They have what they need to take A. At least get right up into the site, right? Like just outside of it, allowing them to prep for a full execute in. It's just less area that you have to worry about because they're able to take all that space off of that kill. It's all about now just setting up and going for it. Now, Spike is still sitting over by Spawn, and that's going to be big in terms of this default. They're not ready to execute on it just yet. They could full on rotate over to see if they wanted, but they're looking now, prepping for this execute.
Kazler, ooh, seen the jump of the Russian. They send the Rolling Thunder. They're thinking that they cornered everyone, but they actually only hit all of what one. They're going to retreat off of this. And for all of a moment, they have 30 seconds. Plenty of time to be able to rush it into garage and then be able to plant for C. You still have everyone holding from ERM over onto that A position. They could actually, if they really wanted to, because now they've given away that tripwire, throw a Hunter's Fury into this default plant position. They're not going to waste it as of yet. Maybe. Oh, actually they do. So that's going to be some damage that will split up their team as well. Millie's going to hold this one deep in the dark, cover the use of the dismiss, be able to immediately tell that Gia's right behind that box, and now they're going to retreat down into long C.
My eyes are down.
They have a long fight ahead of them on this retake, but they find one. Millie finds a big kill coming through garage. Marina and Rika attackers take that round. It's just a really good post plant that they were able to set up for. And it all started off with the Reyna going aggressive, finding that initial opening pick on that retake.
All right, this will do it. Refrag trying to force a game number 3 that would send us to the salty sands of Bind. And ARM, Want to pull out a hero moment, but look at the mixed bag of tricks that we have in this buy. Stingers, Sheriff, Guardian, and a Vandal. What's going to come out from that? Wire, I feel like on a Neon, a Stinger is pretty much the same way everywhere. They're going to try and rush it out, and look at this quick pressure. They're going to go all the way out to mid, but that's going to be answered immediately with a blade in the back, and that is 2 quick kills for Kazler.
Kazler saying, I want to end this right here, right now, is looking for their third, jumps up, jumps on top of them, and puts a knife straight down through their skull to pick up their third before this round is over, and it is just all over a perfectly flawless round as Kazler and Millie get a full house for themselves in that last round, and that ended very fast.
You know what? Getting right-click blade stormed in the skull is the equivalent of a Halo Ninja medal. So shout out to Kazler, the killer. If you guys didn't see the stat that was put by our awesome production, by the way, into that first half, they were able to get 6 first bloods in that half. Really was one of the big reasons, along with Millie, the turn of the tide was able to happen. It was what, 6-6. First half, and then from there it was completely the other direction in favor of Refrag. This is a tale of 2 different stories completely between Abyss and Haven Ice.
It really was, and they almost slid a little bit on the side of Refrag, with ERM coming back a little bit on that defensive half, but it was to the heroics of Kazler and Millie and Rika that really put the kibosh on that, so really well done to those 3.
Yeah, it was. All right, well, we're going to be throwing up into our desk as well because Rika, they were a hero in my eyes as well as yours, and really the comeback kid when it came to that previous one. Let's see if they know even more about all the stats and all the cool magic behind the scenes. How do you guys feel about that one? Haven was pretty cool, right?
It was an absolute cinema, Janice, and thank you, Hell Monkey Man and Ice, for bringing us that amazing map too. I mean, we say if we go to Bind, it's anybody's game, and I cannot agree, especially after what Hell Monkey mentioned about it being like 6-6 towards one team, and then the next map 6-6 towards the other team dominantly, Janice. But what did you think?
Oh, both of these teams are so well matched. It's sometimes you get a bracket, you get like unfavorable matchups in the bracket, and even with an 8 and 9 seed, you know, the numbers don't matter. It's just like the team comes in and see how you're playing. These teams are playing so well against one another. I know Abyss looked a little abysmal, haha, in the second half for the defense, the attacking side, for the side of Refrag, but once here on Haven, they're playing really, really well. I love the type of coordination. Once you're getting Millie onto a duelist role, which I know we were talking a little bit on the break, once you got them on a duelist role, they looked so much more comfortable, and the team looked better for it.
Like, yeah, not only was it just Millie, but it was the fact that it was that double duelist that I asked for and said was more successful for the squad previously in the open qualifier. Granted, it's only 1 best of 3 in the group stage since they had a bye, but still, it gave Castle that freedom to get a little bit more proactive and act more as that anchor player instead of trying to like play a little bit more reserved, right? Stay alive so that they could rotate and be that solo retake duelist, and it made such a difference, right? They were free to take any fight they wanted, and it gave an impact. And then I was talking to our production staff as well. Millie on that second half was playing right now, I think, as picturesquely as you can in a competitive environment, right? You're playing selfishly, yes, but you're doing it to delay the post plant, to delay that retake attempt. You're getting up close and personal in their face so that if you win a fight, you can just miss out and cause chaos elsewhere. I think particularly for me, it was on the C side, right? They take a fight CT, they get it frag, dismissed, go fight garage. So they're fighting at every entry point, and even if they were to win out the fight, they've cut down the retake timer like by half.
It's a really great song, especially that second half. But while we were doing this, I also got to do a little bit of some graphic work, just a little bit of telestrator towards the first half. So we're gonna really quick go into round 5 here. ERM on the attacking side, Refrag on the defense. ERM want to go for AC split. So right now, if you can, pulling out my little pen, they have their Neon and Breach looking to push Garage. They have their Omen over here towards C, looking to get aggressive in that aspect. However, to counter that right now, and you know, this is a little bit early on, so no idea, but you have Kazler on the jet for Refrag, looking to hide in this cubby. So as we get the round starts, the Omen throws a little smoke over towards Garage. Millie on the Reyna is forced to back up over here, so they can't really contest that. But Kazler's able to get into this spot right now as a little bit of a danger. And immediately, right as the initiation, you want to come from your Neon and Breach. automatically right there goes your Omen. So smoke's down, your Jet is able to grab a great pick, and now your two initiators that are trying to get into the site are just kind of like, okay, there goes the plan. What is next? Well, excellent plan. They decide to back up. Kazler gets over here towards C, gets a little aggressive, looking for see if there are any picks, but just opts to back up and dash away. Meanwhile, the Cypher and Silva here towards the south side of the map is just hanging out back here, just trying to gather some information and some space. And I want to talk really quick about the Cypher setup for the defense that they're having right now. 2 trips over towards A right here, and then over towards B, just only a cam to hold that space. So what's happening now, the attacker sides, they're down their smokes, they're down their only smokes, and they're down 1. So what's ending up to happen, just everyone towards C is just gonna, on the defense, just gonna hold back, and their Neon is gonna look towards B, playing really aggressive, looking for a frag, looking for a pick. The only thing they're gonna be fine is they find the camera, they're gonna be able to take that down, and there's all of B that it's going to be cut off. So all of Refrag have no information over towards C. So what, from this point on, now the Neon's going to get tagged by the cam. They're going to want to back out of there. And now if you look over towards the south side, look at the Sova. They're going to drone here just to clear out this C lobby area. And the Neon's going to back up. Meanwhile, the Cypher and Breach have looked all the way towards A. Sova's going to throw a dart, and here's where a beautiful, nice. It's going to be a little bit of a fake of a dart over here. Everyone's going to gear up towards an A push, and all of a sudden, everyone is going to be stuck on this west side towards that C map, and A side's going to be able to be taken for the side of ERM. They don't end up winning that round, but Refrag with a nice little retake. But I just love the ideas that are coming out from ERM, and if we can see that on Bind, I'm really excited to see what we get for the rest of this match.
Yeah, I think for me the big takeaways here, right, was we start with a default for ERM, they get that information, and even when that initial C split fails, I love how Wire was trying to set them up as this kind of refake of a re-hit to C while that lurk up of the Cypher and the Breach was happening towards A. And in my mind, it really would have worked because it kept all 3 players for RF on C. It's just the players that were anchoring A, they fragged out and they shut down that re-hit. Particularly, I think it was Wire. They get pinged by that Cypher cam you pointed out, and then what do? They run outside of Garage. So if you are players on C, you hear a drone re-clearing C main, you hear a Neon or see a Neon right side of Garage, you're like, oh, this is clearly going to be a C hit. Let's keep players here. When Spike is headed up A long. Either way, it's showing that they have a deep playbook, and I'm hoping that playbook remains as in-depth as we get ready to jump over to Bind. But Janice, great breakdown. Thank you so much for that Telestrator. We are getting ready to jump into map number 3. We know this was going to be a close affair. It's close-seeded teams. So, Hail Monkey, Ice, if you're ready, take us to map 3.
Thank you, Zobi. Thank you, Janice. And we are here for Bind, and we're getting right into game. We're going to skip through agent select here, and we'll find out here very quickly what is going to be happening. But based off those past 2 maps, what are we hoping to see, Monkey?
I mean, look, apparently we get 6-6 first half. If we don't get a 6-6 first half, which I think you had mentioned that both these teams are very, very close in terms of statistical wins on Bind. So it feels like it deserves poetically to be a close map. Now, the thing that's really also prompted is when we twist and turn the tides between the 2 halves, it goes oblong for one side or another. And I feel like this is also going to come down to who simply is going to play their better Bind. We've seen different ways. We don't know the agents, at least until you, I, and the entire audience gets to see it. But Kazler obviously needs to be an impact player. Millie, he's going to be able to do the same things. Wire, if they're taken off the board, we got to see the entirety of the squad stand up. But May on this Viper has also done great things. We're going to see if Riv can do the same as they're going to be starting on defense.
And I like the look of these compositions. It's Raze, Breach, Jet, Sky for Rika. That's where I'm going to keep my eyes on. How do they run with this Sky? Because that's going to be the big changing thing that I've seen a lot more coming out on this map with Sky. And I really love the play style of it. It gives you a lot of utility and a slight little heal for your team as well. In case you get a bad engagement but don't get taken down, you can then get boosted back up and re-entry in.
Both these teams went 13-11. Well, save ERM, they went 11-13 whenever they played Bind into the group stage. Wire gonna try and force them to go hide into the garden and then force them to look at the flowers. In case you know Novelty, you know that could be a bad time. Rika finds a good first pick, but the guiding light is unable to protect them as the bird will squawk, but they're already dead. So we're at 4-4 with ERM trying to be able to get this plant off. They want to secure all these positions. They think someone is down long C, or rather long B, and they would be very much correct to be a little bit afraid before they start getting themselves in position.
Kazler is trying to get in, but gets their head immediately taken off by Money. And this is the start that ERM wanted. It's 4v3 as the paint shells are going to force Money out of their position and allow Marina to pick up that kill. Followed up by Riv finding Gia, and it's a little bit falling apart for them as it's going to be 1v2, but the health bars are not looking good for anybody right now, and it's not going to matter as May picks up that last kill. For ERM, that's the exact start that you wanted. Both these teams, you mentioned it in the statistics-wise of it, as the round was building up, they're pretty much even. The attack for ERM, they win 67% of their rounds. The defensive half for Refrag, they win 67% of the rounds. So it's really going to be a battle of wills here as we get into this to see who is going to take the W in this map.
And that means we are in the kind of the most heightened position in this first half. It really will be telling as to who will have any advantage or any kind of disadvantage walking out from these first 12. Or maybe we just go even again. That feels like that's the storybook that could come around. They're going to clear that first corner. Wire, he could have a fist fight with Kazlo in the very near future because we are all gamble stacked here on B, but they do leave themselves an option. If they cannot identify they're immediately there, that teleporter's there for a reason. They're actually asking for May on some intel. If anyone's nearby, they may flex that TP and go to A immediately.
I like that idea. It's something, especially with that Viper wall blocking a lot of the site from the attackers, they have that ability to just slide on through. Now, it would be heard, but with nobody there, they have to check these corners. They find Riv and get it traded back, but it's a 2-for-1 trade, and yeah, there's the TP now coming through. Like you mentioned, after taking that heavy engage, they can now swipe on over, get to A, get it planted, and set up their post plant while the rotate comes through.
Try and chuck over a quick nade, maybe to hurt old Wingman, but with their 2 big nuclear devices, they're able to at least put that one down. So finding themselves into a 4v2, you've got Millie. They've been impactful. They're going to try and do the same thing here. Mount Marina, but May will put them down. That's going to be hallway, and now maybe a steal. They want to take the gun away from them. That potential, that's going to be a 3-1. That's a very hurt raise. It doesn't matter. Millie's finding the hot shots.
And this is huge. Even if they lose this round on the side of Refrag, the amount of economy damage that they've done is, oh my goodness, Millie with the jump in to pick up that kill. Not quite finding the last one. Their time just isn't, they don't have enough time at this point. The time has run out. They're just going to have to TP away. They've picked up 4 on the round, though. Huge win there. Yes, they got the round, ERM, but I have to consider that a win for Refrag as they cleared everybody off the map. It's going to be an eco round for ERM coming into this bonus, and it's not going to feel good.
No, not at all. I mean, yeah, you already see them kind of discussing. I was like, all right, do I go ahead and kind of big buy? Do we hero rifle this one? And that means that Refrag, I'm not going to say it's free because we've already seen some completed thrifties, but they're going to have at least a more powerful position. Also, shout out to the awesome Hydrate by Zach TV in the chat. I will be making sure to hydrate. We're on the hottest map in the pool of Bind, so why not be able to, you know, keep your throat cool. Let's get into round 3.
It's hot in Bind, it's hot in real life, and the action is heating up as well as we are getting into this Wire, pushing through showers here, trying to see if they can't find any, looking for that peak, but no one coming up just yet with that. Kazler standing up, but oh, finds just a pixel of May to open up this round. Now they're looking to cover showers here, making sure that nobody gets a free push in and get a cheeky little kill. The smokes from Brimstone come out to cut off this round, but nobody checked their corners. They're standing up high. Millie finds 2, drops down, and it is a flawless coming out from Refrag.
You know, I said Refrag was going to have the advantage here, Ice, but, you know, I didn't think it'd be in the form of a flawless... It's not even a corner at that point. You got to check the attic because they're up on the top of that double box to see that kind of height position. But the one thing that a majority of Valorant players are off not to check is something in a vertical position, which is when the high-low game really kind of shows itself. So... we're going to be going into a rifle round here, but you obviously see they have to make some concessions because of that full kill wipe that happened in round number 2. And this really could have kind of some echoes going into later rounds in favor of Refrag.
And Kazler picking up that opening kill, not even taking a point of damage in that duel, is going to be massive for them as they were also able to get away. Boombot taking the teleport through. I like that little tidbit that you're able to pull off. So much fun to potentially catch people off guard, but oh, Kazler.
Down B.
They bounce out of hookah, drop down, and find another kill. Absolutely massive. They are popping off right now, not wanting to let their team fall.
Only 3 remaining. You already have a showstopper online. They're hanging out underneath the window. That's a cheeky position. Money won't see that coming, and they'll be wombo comboed very quickly. Sky smokes are going to be invested. You're going to send the Dizzy out. No blinds happening, and Caswell will find yet another one. May and Gia get a couple, and it looks like Rika was just kind of walking out for free. Showstopper will put an end to that. Curtains down on to Gia, and we're 2-2, and that's definitely ERM that's going to be hanging out in the bin. They're going to be looking at a pretty solid eco right now.
There.
Yeah, that was a huge round for Refrag. Kazler coming up big with those 2 opening kills that really stifled a lot of what ERM were looking to do. And because of that now, they are having to, one, go back into this Sheriff Eco buy with 3 half shields. They're starting to stumble a little bit in these opening rounds for ERM. They got those opening 2, but afterwards they've just collapsed. And here we go once again. Kazler with this very aggressive look. Doesn't find anybody, but pushes them back, and that's going to be rough.
That is beautiful. You're able to get the paint shells and you get the grasp. That is nasty. That is the divine combo right there. You never get to see that happen. Now on top of this box, Millie looking to bring in their own, but they go down to 8 HP, and then they are finally followed up off of a wall bang by Celeste. So ERM turns this train right around. They've got a couple rifles, but for all of that success on A and for all the skirmishing that was happening there, Spike's gotten itself to B.
I'm still reeling over that paint shell combo because it was just so clean. And now, I mean, Riv is looking for something. They have the gun advantage here in these short duels, and Riv is making some good work of it, but it's all down to Riv at that point, and it just didn't work out as Gia picks up that last kill. They were able to upgrade some guns there coming through showers, and that helped them out a lot. Now they need to start pressing more on ERM. They are very back and forth right now, and I want to see them be a little bit more consistent in these rounds and not give over opening kills like they are, or opening looks to Kazler, who they were very lucky wasn't able to capitalize in that last round.
Very true. And honestly, that previous round, especially into that shower play, you never should discount being able to practice some of your util combo plays. That really just showcased, even if you're down into a save, what you can do with some good utility, just creativity. But now we go into ERM with a few extra rifles, as well as with a few extra ultimates. They got a showstopper, and they've got the nightfall. If they really want to make a mess of things, they're going to try and clear out here for shower like they did before, but the Blade Storm online for Kazler immediately nullifies what could be a Viper Pit to secure this site.
Doesn't manage to find Celeste, though, as the knife goes just a little wide, and that means that they drop instead. Brimstone dropping the counter smoke just to slow them down through showers, making sure that they can't get a free push in after taking that kill. Means we've slowed down the round even slower than what it was before. Taking down Kazler, though, is a big bonus for ERM that allows them a little bit more entry into this site, losing out on that Blade Storm. And with the Fade ultimate coming out, that's going to be huge to deafen everybody as Wire picks up Riv to start things off. Gia also finding Millie. That's 2 quick kills to get them entrance and X and control over this site. It's up to Marina to try to wrap through now.
They do have the Seekers. They can use that Pathfinder, clear this immediate corner. They know they're nearby, but you know it's unfortunate. The red beret drops, and then so does the Australian as Rika is quick to follow, and that's a quick follow-up in favor of ERM as they dropped all of one. They now have the Thrash as well as the Viper Pit. You combo the Nightfall from kind of an interesting angle position there, Ice.
Yeah.
Straight up the gut of A, and then you quickly are able to action out your showstopper and find a good pick, and now you have Refrag in the eco.
And I liked the look that ERM brought with that. And it was aggressive at the right point. They didn't over-aggress early with that pick. They set themselves up, they grabbed the spike, and then they pushed in. And once again, Kazler takes an aggressive position, having to back away and throw out their smoke just to make sure that they can get out safely. And it doesn't really stifle the push out as they might find one on there. But oh, trading back is Millie. They're coming up big here.
We have not seen a lack of thrifty rounds, and with the way that we're finding at least a few of these opening picks, it very well could happen again. They caught that Brim running, but even when they were able to catch him, they still dropped at least a couple, so now you got the spike down. They're not going to invest the Viper Pit here. They're actually going to keep them all the way into that back shower position. The Thrash, which we used multiple times, is going to see if they're hanging out all the way to that stair side, but with how deep that went, now they take the gunfights. May, unafraid of doing so, is now going to be able to collect themselves into a corner. Gia will get rid of Marina, and everyone really misses. They've gained some ground in a big way.
They've stopped missing. They've stopped missing their shots. They've stopped missing their open opportunities to take sites, and they're coming back into their aggressive ways that we saw on Abyss on attack, where they are playing lights out Valorant, pressing hard, not giving time for Kazler to take these opening positions before they're pushed back and not able to find them. And we are going to get a full buy coming out from Refrag. And right here. Once again, look at this aggressive positioning coming out through B long. It's going to be the Sky finding one before backing away, but there's just nothing that they're able to do. Look at how deep Kazler has to play in sight to make sure they don't get an early pick.
The last time they played like this, they had the potential to go towards A, but it was a 1-4 split of leaving May in that position, but they get rid of Kazler. Money with just that tiny little peek through Garden. And that's huge. Now you have a big power sway in favor of ERM. If they really want to take over B, that's why they have to rotate their Viper over. So now it's a 2-2, and it looks like they're going to take over Hookah. So now they keep one lingering, lurking towards that A short, and they put out a Prowler just to kind of stall what could be a rotation while everyone else floods in. The Riv and Rika Marina. Oh my goodness. They just clear the board, and there's only one left to go.
What a fight that was. Huge plays there coming out from Refrag, and it forces Gia back. They have Spike. They're going to teleport over to A. Of course, it's heard. Everybody knows it's happening. It's going to buy Gia a little bit of time with their buddy to get that Spike planted. That was... I was not expecting that to come out. That flick up was huge.
Oh, and then Gia kind of stuck themselves into a corner. We saw a slew of great rounds in favor of everyone really misses. You were able to see them on a thrifty with that util combination, and then they ultimately gained it from showers. Then off of the Nightfall and Showstopper combination, won that next round. And thereafter, finding with the Thrash and then just taking over A site when they force Refrag into an eco. That's the bounce back now. After the 3 in succession, Refrag needed this. Otherwise, they were going to see themselves back into the economy dip, and now they're able to start marching back against ERM to see if they can even it up again. We have seen so many 5-5s as well here, Ice. Gotta see if that continues to be the pattern.
The pattern is we tie up first half. That's when and then the second half pops off for one team and not the other. And I'm hoping for that again because it gives us more rounds of such excellent Valorant coming out from this competition, from these two teams. And with Celeste taking an aggressive position, looking to throw out that Prowler, clearing out towards teleporter, making sure that garden is clear. They have control of hookah, but with the smoke and hookah, it slows down the execute a little bit. Along with the smoke and garden, now it's going to be harder. Mosh pit though, with the Reina Eye, means that they have to try to get in though, and there it is. Wire picking up 2, comboing with Gia for the 3rd, and taking full control over the site and getting the spike planted.
Refrag using their Viper Pit into short A showed their hand, and now with this Viper Pit, it kind of looked like a gelatin mold chasing Kazler. They don't want any part of that. That's not going to happen. You can definitely tell that this was still a continuation of their buys from that single round to stem the bleeding against ERM in the previous. They're going to save. They're going to be far and away. Great just kind of detour and deterrence there by ERM, and they're going to have all 5 of their players up. Only had to use 1 ultimate. That was a great just thrust deep into B, and now they're going to be able to get themselves to 6 first, and we could have potential, if they hold it for the next 3, to have the first time that we don't have a dead even first half.
Yeah, it was really well played. The quick hit, once they found their timing to hit, they used their util beautifully to buy that space to get into sight, clear it out, plant, and with that Viper's Pit to cut off that rotation, there was just nothing that Refrag could do to get in. They opted for the save, which I think is the smart play there. And it's really now they have a long way to go against this oppressive attack coming out from ERM that I just love watching. As for Kazler, they're back on this op where we've seen them put in work. They're putting in some decent work here, but they've been caught out the past few rounds early and they haven't had the effect that they need. This is a big round for them to pop off.
You reposition, you have some support. They want to get big off, but no! The orbital strike combo too! It ends up being a waste of both Wire and Celeste are able to get those picks. Oh man, caught in a corner off a teleporter. They thought they had a chance, but they're just lining them up. It's a conga line to die. They go to Wire. Millie wants to escape. They may have the Grim Reaper scythe, but that doesn't mean that they have the ability to give up another gun. ERM, they got 4. Thrash looking for another body to add to the pile. But Refrag, my goodness. Oh, wild times for him. Also, first Friday. Who wants to see the Eagles and the Packers? I'm just saying.
Getting a little bit of that fun counter sports action here, but we're here for Valorant. This is the fun stuff. We don't need to see men hitting each other left and right trying to move a ball across. We want to see gunfights, as that's what we've been getting between these two squads. As Millie finds another one onto Gia, throwing out the paint shells as well, just trying to buy themselves time in this as they keep getting more and more. It's not enough to win the round, but they're getting a little bit back for themselves, at least getting closer to that showstopper that they have now that needs to come into effect here. They need to either take a timeout if you lose this round, or come up big in this round and win it. Those are what we need to see. If you lose this round, you have to take that timeout, recenter yourself, bring back that mental, because right now it's slipping. You're taking liberties on the map that you cannot take. You're way too aggressive with these ops that you don't have the positioning for. You don't have the utility to back up, and it's dropping too early without any usage.
They've been doing such great work, though, staggering out some of these ultimates. Even if the last one was a little bit of an overt combination, you still had the Thrash and the Orbital Strike that put major threat and availability for ERM to go forward with. For the first time in this series, we will not have a dead even first half, but that also means that it can be done the same unto them. Wire is going to try and walk it up from this talk screen. They have the Haunt. Oh, it does tag Riv. They're going to have to back this one up off this Eco. Showstopper, they could follow that line. They don't get a pick from that damage, but it's Mei and Gia that will, especially as they die in TP.
Yeah, those are two big pickups in the TP. That they have full control over A, and with where Riv is, there's just nothing that they can do. Money had their number. Kazler sitting off towards showers, or towards the back of the site, right underneath Heaven here, trying to sneak around, see if they can make some work with the Sheriff. They see the spike, but it's just not enough. Mei is here near showers, but doesn't quite find Kazler's. It's traded out. Celeste cleans up the round, finding Rika. And it just feels like it's a rout right now. It just feels like ERM, they have a playbook, they have a tutorial book from way back in the day of how to play the game. You know, it comes in the little CD case. They opened up the Valorant CD case, They opened up the booklet and said, this is how you play bind, and they're following that playbook to the T.
There was a whole generation of people that just heard the word CD and then started scratching their heads.
This is true. This is true. I stick with it.
I feel like even with the possibility of an 8-4, Refrag still has an orbital strike if they want to be able to retake or maybe deny off default. I still believe that Refrag, with the way that they also practice into this, might be able to turn about the same kind of performance. We'll really get to see some of that for the first time. Also, in several different rounds, ERM doesn't have an ultimate online, so they cannot kind of crutch into any of those big abilities, and instead it's got to be some of these gunfights. Wire is finding themselves countered, and now they have to force up into hallway. That was so smart by Marina to force Wire to have to come to them, especially because they knew they'd put some damage into him early.
That was really well played with that ultimate to drop down, force Marina in, take them out, and now Refrag have the advantage. But look at Hookah. Rika gets tagged down to 85 health. Trying to throw out that flash as Kazler finds May, and a little bit of bad blood it feels like there, a little bit as Gia. It's just back and forth with these two teams. 4v3, rotate over to B site, 1 in Hookah, 2 through long. I like this setup that they have, but it's going to be up to Celeste to try to find something here and start this take off.
Get the decay from right out in Hookah. You're able to get a fat spray spam. Celeste and Money actually coming up big. Oh, and they were trying to get away from it. And that ends up actually so massive because ERM, they were dead as a doornail and denied just a little bit away. Wingman was going to get this plant. Now it's up to the clutch factor of Kazler. They know at least one is over in Garden, but everyone knows that Kazler's off of this cubby. So now can they take over and bring down the rest of the world? They'll tag it first, but then they shove one to the bin. Celeste falls. They know they're just off of this corner. Kazler! Oh, they're thrown to the riverside, and they'll be washed away by Money.
Right here.
Almost had that clutch, but not quite enough in it as we get a 9-3 half. Refrag backs against the wall on this attack. They have to make something happen here. They have 4 rounds to give, and in this pistol, you know, if you lose pistol, you're basically also giving over the round after as well because it's your eco. It's the anti-eco round coming out, and on bind, it's very hard to make plays on an anti-eco when you're on the bottom side of that. So for Refrag here, win this pistol, take the anti-eco as well. That puts you up to 5 to 9, and you're in a little bit better of a position. But mentally, you're in a rough spot. If you drop these next 2, take the timeout, recenter yourself. I know that you haven't taken a timeout all series, but now is the time to do so if you drop this round.
I feel like even if Refrag does win this pistol and moves into the next one with that full anti-eco, I feel like ERM is also going to buy it just to challenge them, just to make it difficult. But we'll see how that one goes. The Dizzy doesn't get the blind slime off in time as Kazler's able to get rid of them. Now May, oh, they end up on timing, just can't quite get on the spin by Millie. And so that's 2 big ERM players down. Make it, no, actually Rika does fall, and they're trying to just find themselves in a safety box. Money on the trade finds us only 1 player down, but it's still in favor of Refrag on this plant.
Celeste trying to make a play around this spike, dodging in and out as Money is playing into the short range there as it's not working out. Attackers take the victory. Refrag coming up big with their 4th round. Now, we said that they needed to do this. That's the start. They should be getting this round, but I want to see the buy up. I want to see the aggression coming out of ERM like you mentioned, but it doesn't look like it's going to come through. Probably just Sheriffs and those classics, probably just all Sheriffs at the most coming out.
There was some inkling that I was like, all right, maybe we'll see like stingers and light shields just for fun, just to see if they could take advantage of it. But they do have maybe not the 10-2 that could have been, right? But 9-3, it does feel all right. Let's play a little bit safe. Let's not get outside our own code. Let's make sure to get this series done. They've got 4 rounds to go. Refrag has to be able to recover. Kazler's gonna jump into their own cloudburst and gonna try and rush this down, and it is just a pile of bodies dropping from out of Hookah. Everyone falls the ways of the bulldog. Everyone drops, and there's only Money left behind. They're gonna get none. Flawless. Well, okay, 4 for Refrag as they're able to get that plan done.
Yeah, barely losing out on that flawless, but still a big round coming out. as now coming into the bonus, we're going to see the buy, of course, come through from ERM as they got demolished in that last round. As expected, realistically, with how aggressive Refrag went into that site with the gun advantage. I want to see a little bit more of polished play now from Refrag. These are still must-win rounds. You're still in a scenario where you're down heavily, and yes, you're winning these, but you gotta push in. And against the composition that ERM have, it's not easy to do when you're on equal footing. So every chance that you get, you need to take.
They are taking this bonus very seriously as well, because Riv has all of a ghost, and they're making sure to have 3K and more when it goes in that next. Gia is able to at least get another trade, and we're 3 for 3. Refrag, very hurt Sky. Wire's gonna try and come back into this, but they're running for the teleporter. They stick one behind. No. So now they're going to have to retake site from a distance. And they know at least one TP is happening, but they stuck around. Rika the bouncer, their secondary career coming up big as they get rid of Wire. And now it's suddenly a 1v3, money at the helm.
Spike planted.
And it's the tale of two sides as Refrag have been playing aggressive on this attack. Really nicely done. Rika, like you said, playing that bouncer. Spike is down. They know where money is. They just need to peek it at the same time. Good flash, forces them into cover, and with all three of them out, there was just nowhere for money to go. Gets cut down, and now with it being 6-9, the score line here for Refrag, they're starting to push in. ERM, this is a necessary timeout for them. They need to start discussing, hey, we're slipping a bit. We're giving over a little bit too much. They're taking aggressive spacing. We need to be prepped for that. And maybe play a little bit farther back into sites. Not fully in the back site, but maybe give them that space so we can have a better defensive setup in those sites for whenever they do come in, because Kazler has been instantly dashing in from hookah onto the box in B and just taking all of that space very quickly and killing everybody in a circle around them. Beautifully done. They're just for ERM, they have to figure out a counter to it because they have been faltering left, right, and center.
Yeah, this double duelist kind of blends itself to being a blender, because Millie and Kazler, I mean, at the top of the stack, much like they were over onto Haven, and with the way that Kazler just fearlessly launches himself deep to sight to be able to make everyone from ERM take full focus to them, and Millie then provides that secondary kind of asset for especially off of the pain shells, and they thieve space from ERM to be able to at least take some of these duels. And the methodical chaos that this Refrag group brings is so hard to temper. Can they continue? Because they are erasing this deficit bit by bit, and they're doing it at lightning speed.
Bring them down.
They are, and it hasn't been close rounds either. They have been very aggressive, and once again, Kazler coming up big, taking that space and shutting down Celeste. This is what Refrag need to be doing. They're taking that space, they're capitalizing on it, and then look at this teleport rotate over. Kazler is making them work for it as the rest of the squad is on B planting. So they pulled everybody from B, brought them to A, swept around, and now have planted on B, setting up their post plant. This is such a beautiful macro play coming out from Refrag that have run everyone really misses around the tetherball pole. It feels like they're the ball that goes around because you've hit it.
Oh my
and
gosh.
now there's just nothing they can do.
Oh, the counterplay, the biggest strats, the mightiest brains, the 900 galaxy IQs. Kazler finds 4, and all right, we go into this next round here, Ice. They're down to just that 2-round differential after it being a 9-3. That curse very much lingering in the back. 21-11 is Kazler. Only big ultimates. You do have the Thrash, which could be pretty impactful into this. You do have a buy for ERM. Refrag, if they can stunt out on this round, should be able to force out an eco and maybe seeing 9-9 in a very near future. ERM has to stabilize in a massive way.
And for what ERM need to, yeah, like, one, they need to stabilize, but 2, they need to win a round. Like, stabilization, you can lose a round and stabilize. No, they need to start winning and winning bad. These rounds, it's not even like they're losing them close. There's still 3 and 4 members of Refrag up. and it's just not good for ERM here, as once again, they have full control over B because Kazler dashes in, and they're so afraid of standing in sight when Kazler does that, that they immediately get out, and with these TPs now, they're running them around the map. It happened again.
But Kazler's holding sentry off the sky smoke, and now they're split forces. It's a 2v3 on two different sides with different numbers on either end of these teams. They're gonna try and take this backside position. Kazler gets at least one. They can't clean up the other. Wire staying alive is very big for ERM. Money's trying to at least be sneak thief on that back end. Now Rika and everyone holding close to this bomb plant site. They have U-Haul be able to get at least off of the guiding light. Celeste gets the kill, and now this becomes ERM showstopper for Wire just to scare them off. They throw out the molly, but Marina's unable to cover down ERM. They got the big round you were asking for there, Ice, and they send themselves into double digits.
I was worried. I was so worried during that round. It was another ring around the rosy coming out from Refrag, and it was really beautifully executed. They just couldn't quite get the post plant that they wanted on the A site. They got cut down, and now for ERM, continue that. Push in more. Make sure that Kazler, you need to punish Kazler here. One, they're 22-12. They're popping off already and coming up big in these fights. You need to shut them down. Mark them with two people. You know kind of the tendencies that they have. Use that against them. But they're taking it a lot slower this round from Refrag. They know that this fast pace didn't work out last round. Let's slow it down a little bit. Let's make sure that we cross our I's, cross our T's, dot our I's, and make sure that everything goes our way. As once again, Kazler gets in deep, but it doesn't work out in their favor. This is what I wanted to see.
It definitely sounded like they ended up crossing their I's and dotting their T's. They're gonna throw at least one out there, and that's Wire that comes up with 4. Everyone really misses. Now starting to hit. Refrag, they found 4 in a row, but so far that wasn't enough to get themselves even with ERM. They're still chasing tail, and as they cut down on the cat and mouse tactics that Refrag was able to at least enable. You see it, the ultimates that are being brought up, a showstopper, an orbital strike. You've got the seekers to be able to at least get some extra info, be it pre or post plant. You've got all of the thrash for ERM. This one should be a loud round. Refrag, they probably wanted to go right back to that pace.
This feels like Tom and Jerry almost, where Tom gets so close to catching Jerry and it doesn't quite work out for them in the end. And that's what it feels like right now with ERM being the mouse and setting these traps beautifully. Now it's once again Celeste in this aggressive positioning as 4 are pushing in. Using that Prowler, not actually finding anything, but Wire picks up 2 before getting taken down. It's 3v2 on this A execute, and what looked to be a little bit dicey at the start is working out in the favor of Refrag here.
They get that plant off. Marina's gonna have their orbital strike. That's good coverage. And you gotta think, if you're ERM, you're all right. Pathfinder's identified where we are. They pretty much know where all numbers are coming from, and unless they can get some kind of errant pick, it's really not worth it to kind of invest into this. So they're gonna at least keep this close from this U-Haul, see if they can get one from just around that timing. They saw them. Oh, but then they end up getting the blind off of the Dizzy. It's a 1v2, and that's now just down to a mano-y-mano. You've got Kazler. They're gonna get rid of Wingman. Cloudburst, so they can't get the immediate pick, and then it comes down to timing. Using the Thrash, can they jump away? Now they have to commit for the full defuse. That's gonna be a shorter lockdown than what's normal for one with a Killjoy, and that's why that's gonna be Kazler. Clutch it up again!
Kazler! We keep saying that it comes down to Kazler in these clutch moments, and this is why. They either come up with massive kill rounds, or they come up with the crucial kills at the right times to make it happen, and they delay just long enough that even with the Thrash coming out, there was no way they could get that defuse and lock it down as they were popping around that corner. 24 and 13. Massive kill line there. But look at this stack now from ERM. They're stacking up in A main. They don't want to let anybody take control of that area, as with no one there, Refrag has complete control over Hookah and almost complete control over B as soon as they realize that there's nobody there.
It's going to be a sudden punch, but they've also rotated off of these before. lot of ability damage that can come through for Refrag. They've got the Showstopper in the orbital strike. They hear the TP come off. That's going to be the Viper Pit dropping. If we really want to get weird about it here, Ice, ERM could invest their own Viper Pit. Showstopper will come out. They're going to use it here. That's going to be a quick kill onto Celeste, and now they put out the paint shells. May trying to be the hero if they can, but they're just laid out on the dirt.
Rika, though, finding that May means that they do have a slight advantage, but ERM come up huge and now are on match point during a little bit of a botched execute still coming in their favor, as through the chaos they were able to land the shots that mattered. Really well done, and now with it needing 5 rounds for defrag without dropping a single round, it's unfortunate that I just don't feel like they can pull it off. You can see they're going to have a botched buy coming into this as they've dropped the last 3 rounds. And for ERM, they're perfectly happy with where they're sitting in terms of their economy, and they're looking to play aggressive probably.
Zobi, the jinx of the entire third map. How could they? I can't believe they've done it in the chat, cheering for overtime, and it's all gone sideways. But no, this could be the beginning of the end, as Refrag with this Bladestorm up on Kazler, the one person that you want to be able to have the highest lethal rate. They throw up the Dizzy. Want to at least see if anyone is peeking beyond this Sky Smoke. That's going to be Millie that actually helps out. They're going to have an upgrade of a weapon. Orbital Strike to get them out of that corner. And that's actually going to get Gia down. It's a 3v3 ERM now being picked off.
And from the depths of despair, Refrag have come up with some massive frags here, I have to say. They're refragging into this map and coming up